Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of How Did This Get Booked? I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. And joining me, as always, my co-host, my tag team partner, my bike gang member, faction member, kind of been long-lost friend the last couple weeks. We see each other when we record these episodes. Zane Riley, thank you very much for joining us, as always.
Thanks for having me, Jake. How are you?
I'm very good. Like I said, we don't see each other that much.
No.
Thankfully, this podcast pulls us together. But
Wrestling making friends.
Wrestling making friends. But
one of these sheets is completely blank.
Okay, I was like, but all of those. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's quite okay. I was only going to give you a nice flowery introduction. Our wrestling fan joining us today, quite possibly the best comedian in the entire city of Charlotte, the funniest man ever, the man who can make everything funny, like anything whatsoever, makes probably, I don't know, 8 jokes per minute, like just in normal conversation, no pressure at all. But, I'm sitting here with Jordan Scott Huggins.
Yay! Don't fuck this up, Jordan.
Jordan, thank you very much.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Just needed some reaffirmation. But Jordan, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
This is definitely fun.
This is out of my comfort zone for sure.
Well, that's why you're here. You are our non-wrestling fan down this rabbit hole of subpar wrestling.
Right.
But let's talk about your background. What do you know about professional wrestling? How much have you seen of it? What's your knowledge of it? Just your whole background of it.
It's very little, man. It's actually, when you asked me to do it, I was like, oh no, I was a little bit worried. But the only experience I have with it is that my step-grandfather used to be really into it. And they lived in Missouri. So when he would travel down, he would, like for Christmas and stuff, he would buy pay-per-views. And I would watch then. But that was like 10 years ago. And so, and then I started doing comedy, and little did I know that every fucking body was in. Can we cuss? Oh god.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Ruined.
It's ruined.
I didn't know. I always feel like less of a comedian because so many comedians are into wrestling, like Joe Pettis and Nick and you guys and everything, and so very little wrestling. But that's why I say it. Like I'm glad you asked me to do this because I I'm questioning, like I'm in my transitionary sexuality phase as far as wrestling goes.
So you're like wrestling curious.
Yes, I'm wrestling curious. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. So I've been into ever since I met Nick. I knew Nick and Micah were into it and stuff. I wanted to and I'm a huge fan. Actually, more than wrestling, I'm a huge fan of wrestling GIFs on the internet. GIFs, whatever.
We're not here for that debate.
We're not going to judge you there.
But I'm a huge fan of wrestling GIFs on the internet, and so I think that qualifies me a little bit. So.
Okay,
that's about it.
You're sort of what some would say an expert then.
Oh, yes, I guess you could say that.
You could say a lot of things.
You could say a lot.
What's that scale? You know what I'm talking about? I forgot the scale, but it's anything. So it's a line graph essentially, and at the bottom it's the length of time you've been doing something, and then on the whatever X or Y axis it's your level of confidence, and it can apply to anything, but it's for creativity too. So it looks like as soon as you start doing something, your confidence is through the roof, and then the further along, when you become more experienced, your confidence it's like a U shape all the way down to the bottom, and then finally the highest confidence and expert meet and so that's where I'm at. I'm at the first peak. I'm just I know everything about wrestling.
So. And it's all based on Heroes of Wrestling 99.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You can talk about these other people, the comedians and stuff like that. Now you can say to them, you have an icebreaker that you watched the legendary Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view. This is widely regarded as one of the worst wrestling pay-per-views of all time. I like how even as a novice fan, you're like, it's the worst ever.
I totally see
that was an interesting thing is that while I was watching it last night, I watched it with my girlfriend, and so
So you're single.
Yeah. We both. I was like, I'm gonna watch this. Do you want to watch this? She's like, not really. And I was like, well, I'm gonna smoke. Do you want to smoke and watch this? And I don't really do drugs, but I was like, I feel like I need to do this. And then
a whole lot of things just culminated.
Well prepared, Jordan Scott Huggins.
I know, right? I'm like, I'm gonna do drugs and study for this test. But the big thing is I am not a wrestling fan. I don't know wrestling at all. And so while I was watching this, I made the comment to her. I was like, this is really bad. And she's like, I know, your friends do this? And so that was the moment where I was like, oh, like, you guys wrestle. And you guys know what good and bad is. Like, we know good and bad comedy. But, like, I watch this wrestling, and I don't know that all wrestling isn't like this. And
do we consider that good, or is that bad?
Yeah, right? And so I'm just like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, man, I kind of feel bad for these guys if they're doing this in and out. And then I was like, oh, no. And then I had an epiphany. I was like, oh, Melissa, no. This is bad on purpose. Like, he sent me this because it's notoriously bad. So, so yeah.
See? It all came together.
It all came together, yeah. That was a long diatribe about nothing.
And at that point, the chart met full circle.
Yes.
Exactly.
The next top of the U.
Now
Yeah.
of your wrestling knowledge.
I did have a question, though. Did they book this? This was like when it came out, which I don't even know what year it was. Late 80s?
1999.
Yeah,
1999.
I'll give the information right now.
Okay.
Heroes of Wrestling, October 10th, 1999. The attendance was 2,300 people. Casino Magic at Bay St. Louis in Mississippi. 1999. Okay. And like when this came out, I vividly remember it. I remember it being on DirecTV as probably the YouTube link that you saw. Obviously, somebody recorded it
and then
from DirecTV. But I remember when this came out, and I was like, I gotta fucking see this. I remember because I was ordering pay-per-views at this time quite frequently on the WWF, and I was in full swing of my wrestling fandom.
Yeah,
I was on my back.
Had you started wrestling by this point?
No, not at this time. I'm probably 4 years away from me starting wrestling.
Oh, okay. Wait, well, I guess... How old are you now? And so how old were you then?
I'm 34 right now. I would have been 17 years old when this pay-per-view came out.
Okay.
So, I was all about this, and I'd already been paying for pay-per-views, and I was like, I gotta fucking see this. But, there was a part of me that, right before I ordered it, or right before I asked my parents to, was like, no, this would be bad. I think this is gonna be bad. I think this is gonna be bad.
Because was it billed as, a huge event? 2,300 people doesn't seem like a lot of people.
No. Well, see, it's funny you asked, did this happen in, the 80s? Because all of the people on this show, most of them, were at the height of their careers about the 80s.
Oh,
they just happened to be around 10 years later, continuing to wrestle.
Oh, gotcha. So these are guys that are in the twilight of their career.
It's like saying you're going to go see Def Leppard right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Gotcha. At the time,
that makes sense.
At this time in wrestling in '99, we're in the middle of the Attitude Era, where there's Stone Cold.
The Rock.
So that's where we are in the wrestling world. You would know those guys.
Yeah, I know those guys.
When they're on Mad TV at this time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's going on right now. So they basically just got a collection of these guys and brought them together on this pay-per-view, which legend shows are pretty. They got very popular in 2005. So this is probably 6 years earlier than what you and me and Zane probably know. Actually, some of the shows this weekend will be very similar to this particular type show. Where you're going to have, But actually, last weekend, Bushwhacker Luke was wrestling in a match. These guys are still out there doing it. They're
still around,
yeah. And there's still shows like this that had happened, like I said, in 2005, 2006. The shows like this were very popular. But the fact that this was on actual pay-per-view with big money behind it.
Yeah.
Dumb money behind it.
Was this one of the first, kind of big, whatever, heroes of wrestling, the big guys? Is this one of the first types of this show to come around?
Well, that's funny that you mentioned it. Segue into a little piece of information about this. It was done by Fostone Productions. President Bill Stone. His plan was to run shows like this quarterly, with his idea of getting 40,000 pay-per-view buys.
Oh, wow.
His plan was to run these 4 times a year, and he's like, if I could just get 40,000 pay-per-view buys, I'll be doing okay.
Each time?
Each time.
Only 40,000?
Yeah.
You say only.
You say only.
Is that...
He got 11,000.
I thought he was 11,000 shy. I thought he only got 29,000.
No, what I got, he came up... Oh, he came up 11,000 shy. Yeah, he did come up 11,000.
I would like to point out
I read Wikipedia
to the listeners that
you
you guys were far more prepared than I was. Like, I showed up. That's why I was looking. I was looking at Zane's notes, and I was like, "Oh, this. You have a whole like notebook." I just jotted down.
No, I'm the moderator. I have to be very much.
That's a good point. Yeah, I do appreciate that you printed out the Wikipedia for me.
Yes. So. And obviously Zane pointed out my mistakes.
Yeah.
We're doubled up on it.
But nonetheless, he was still like super shy of his goal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So like that's the thing with that is that was his big plan. You know, because wrestling was hot then. Like you just like at this time like house shows and regular just indie shows, you could like I said, Stone Cold Steve Austin was very big at this time. If you had someone like a Chad Austin on a show, you could get 500 people to show up to an armory easily.
Okay.
You know, like wrestling was ridiculously hot at this time.
this would have been like the dead center of, because 03 was the end of the Attitude Era, right? Right about then? This being night, so you're like dead in the center of...
This is how far... I don't even know what the Attitude Era is.
I
had to ask Nick Alexander what a heel and a face were. And you constantly post about being an under, and I was like, I think it has something to do with losing, but I don't know.
Yeah,
and so I
either that or he's a bottom. I don't know.
So I had to go to Nick for like... So, referring back to your question, so that's I had no
basically it was the most popular time ever for probably wrestling T-shirts, and the penetration into mainstream media was ridiculous. And this is when Jay Leno was wrestling against Hulk Hogan that one time. When Dennis Rodman was wrestling, WCW was going on at this time. Like so, we had two major all we have right now is WWE. Imagine also having WCW on top.
2 or 3 others.
Yeah, and also too, like the ratings that WWE they had back then is like double or even triple what they have now. And then there was another company on top of it.
Oh wow!
On Monday nights we had Nitro was 3 hours, and then they ran the replay, so that was 6. And then they also had Raw for 2 hours, so we had 8 hours of wrestling every Monday.
Every Monday?
Every Monday. 8 hours of wrestling, and then of course we had the Thursday shows, which were either an hour or 2 hours long. So we had another 4 hours on Thursdays. And then, of course, pay-per-views and, of course, large house show gates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, obviously...
What is it now? What do they...
not as much as it used to be. But,
is it like, what, once a month? Or more than that?
Here's the thing now. We have a bunch of smaller companies. Like, we don't have 2 big companies now. And the big companies are doing as well. But the thing is, we have Ring of Honors. We have TNA, which is on Pop right now, which I believe they're on Tuesday nights.
Oh, okay.
And we have Lucha Underground. You know, I think they're Wednesday nights. So we actually have wrestling about every night a week. But as far as ratings draw, not as big as.
And this is on syndicated television. So like, if you've got television, you can tune in.
Well, it's like if you have like certain cable packages.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cable packages.
But it's
readily accessible. It's very accessible.
Okay.
Yeah, wrestling's silver. Yeah, exactly, and online and in streaming and everything else. But like during this time of 1999. Bill Stone is not a complete idiot for doing this.
He had a good idea.
He gave it his best shot. There were a lot of circumstances that come up. Also, too, I'm not particularly happy with the way that this whole event was filmed. This is a prime example of what happens when you have non-wrestling people film wrestling. And I'll bring that up multiple times. I got multiple exclamation points in my notes.
You think I have a lot?
Yeah,
I was mostly mad about the production, maybe not so much about the wrestling. But when we're speaking of production,
maybe I think I equaled a lot of your because it was very shittily produced.
Thank you.
Yes.
I thought I wanted to pull my. It's a prime example of when you hire a professional company to film wrestling. This is the type of product you get, and you realize why WWE's product looks so good and why it looks the way it does. It's because people, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they're thinking when they film wrestling. It befuddles me. And I also don't know what they were thinking with the beginning video showing footage of like a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Of a Hurricane Camille going through and like a hurricane that probably displaced hundreds, maybe thousands of people from their home.
Yeah,
and they're saying... This wrestling event is going to cause just as much damage.
And it kind of did.
Exactly.
It set us all back a lot of years.
That's the thing. That'd be like Hurricane Katrina, like a video of Hurricane Katrina coming on before the Super Bowl that one year. I'm like, Hurricane Katrina destroyed New Orleans and like killed a bunch of people.
Like Super Bowl 29. Dude.
Well,
I'm just not realizing that was not a commercial.
No, yeah.
I thought it was
that guy didn't just record over what was
That's what
a news
I thought
special.
it was.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was an.
That's part of it. Part of it meant to happen. Like when Bill Murray did The Night Before Christmas in the movie Scrooge.
Oh, yeah.
Where he wanted like someone to have a heart attack, a lady died scene.
Yeah, that's exactly
how
what this
he was.
advertisement was. It's like Frank Cross
Yeah.
was the executive that came up with the idea for this. But anyways, it starts off with pyro because that's how you start off a wrestling pay-per-view. But it's obviously a lower level pyro. With
Pyrotechnics.
Pyrotechnics.
Okay, all right. We'll get it.
All
guys.
right, heels, faces, pyrotechnics.
You're halfway there.
Yeah.
You're halfway there. And of course, random cutaway shots, the guys with mullets and tank tops.
Yeah.
And then we throw it right to our commentators. Randy Rosenblum and Rosenblum. Yeah, Randy Rosenblum.
And Dutch Mantel.
Dutch Mantel. Dutch Mantel was...
Is that the hair dude?
Yes.
Yes.
He had the beard.
Yes.
Dutch Mantel, a legendary professional wrestler, also very good commentator.
The guy with the hair?
Yeah.
I thought he was shitty. I thought he was so bad. Was this at the beginning?
There are a couple of
Commentating?
moments. There are a couple of moments I would like to bring up about Dutch Mantel's commentary, but
Okay. But he did a good job, and I just didn't recognize it.
Yes. Which is the best. This is why we do this show.
it's your opinion.
No.
Exactly.
It's also we can see how the other smarter half of the world thinks.
What we love may not be what everybody else
Yes.
loves. But Randy looks like he has no eyebrows. I don't know if it's the quality of the video that I'm watching, but he does take a lot of criticism for the way not being as knowledgeable of professional wrestling. Also, people are quite mad because Gordon Soley was supposed to be the other commentator, but he could not make it because of declining health reasons.
He was a legendary announcer as well.
Okay.
Solid.
Yeah.
But they didn't even talk about it. They didn't even say like.
I'm not trying to like. I'm not texting. I'm literally just looking. At
She's reading what you have there.
I pulled up the Wikipedia, so I'm trying to look up like the commentators because I tried to write down all the names of the bouts and everything and each wrestler and stuff, but man, that video feed.
Yeah, like
atrocious,
I said, what I gave you was a YouTube clip. So if you want to see this, you can see it on YouTube. But most people saw it live or have seen it over the years and have done what we've done. But we're sitting down and recording the conversation of it. But speaking of people like Randy takes a lot of criticism for his performance in here. But I've got to point out this ring announcer, this Clifford Sanford, and they throw it down to him.
CRISPR.
See, somebody, you guys got to save me. I'm not reading Wikipedia.
And he's got the printout in front of him. You're reading a 3-inch screen.
Yeah.
He's got an 8x10.
I'm trying to read my notes that I've made over here, and I've made them eligibly for sure.
Yeah, right. You did very tedious and but very intricate notes, and I just pulled it it's such a typical asshole move. I'm just like, no, I just Googled it, and you're wrong.
Well, that's why you're here, Jordan.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
We really just need you to come to all the shows.
In-ring announcer? He's the dude that...
He was the guy that when they threw it to him, he goes, throw down your toys and get out of the sandbox. Playtime is over because somebody's going to get their ass whooped.
I did write that down. Some other ass. Yeah. Tonight someone gets their ass whooped tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight someone
I
gets
didn't
ass
know where the
tonight.
inflection was. I didn't he was trying to do some sort of poor man's Michael Buffer. I
and
guess
they even called him on it. Oh, he's trying to do his Michael Buffer.
Yeah, that's how you started. That guy probably got paid what Tommy Rogers got paid. I'm pretty sure that's how that worked out. He's probably a local guy that does boxing events and stuff like that. I feel like that's where they pulled some of these people. But let's just jump right into match number 1. The Samoan SWAT team versus Marty Jannetty and Tommy Rogers. And of course, Samoan SWAT team being escorted down to the ring by Sika and Paul Adams.
Oh, yes.
The very charismatic Paul Adams, who was waving a towel around for some reason. I feel like he was trying to be like Jim Cornette, and he had a tennis racket in the back, and somebody's like, "Hey, what are you trying to be, a poor man's Jim Cornette?" And he's like, "No,
I got this towel.
I got this towel was actually what I carried to the ring."
Yeah.
So like, because that was like seemed like his thing, because he was doing stuff with it all the time, and his in-ring interview promo that Paul Adams, the guy with the tie, the suspenders, Jordan,
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Oh, the Wolf of Wall Street dude. That's what I thought it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Him.
Yeah,
That was the in-ring announcer that you were talking
No,
about.
that's the manager of.
Oh,
Samoan
okay.
Samoan, we're at the
Guys, we're going to get this together.
You know what? We'll get there.
Anyway,
we have all the
going
time
backwards
we
on
want.
the U now.
Yeah.
But Paul Adams, he was cutting a promo, and I feel like if you're going to watch a show, you should take a drink every time he says the word heroes, because he says it a lot. Like, and he tries very hard to sound smart, but he's not smart, and that's even more painful to just listen to. But that's pretty much all I have to say. And then, of course, Marty Jannetty and Tommy Rogers come in the ring. Marty Jannetty,
Both look great.
They did.
They look great for as old as they are at this time.
Were they old in that?
They would have been late 30s.
Yeah, I mean, about
What's the age of what's the peak age for so soccer or whatever? Mm-hmm. I don't have a frame of reference for the peak ages for wrestling.
It varies now, because you have to be very young now to get into it. It seems like guys that are like 23, 24, 25, when you get to about 27, 28, you're almost a little too old.
Oh, okay.
Unless you have like a worldly amount of experience. When I got to be like 20, 28, and I had tours of Japan or Europe, I pretty much knew my career was over.
Really? Okay.
That's how I saw it. But I'm a very pessimistic person. So
okay, that's interesting.
So for someone like me at 34, there were a lot of guys during a few years ago, like 2009, 2010, that were getting fired from WWE that were 33, 34.
Okay. So it seems like just as for wrestling as every other professional sport, most athletes for the most part seem to peak around the late 20s.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Okay.
You age out pretty quickly.
Well, there's a lot of people getting into wrestling very early. Like, there's a lot of kids that are starting when they're 17, 18.
Oh, okay.
And that's why, they get 5 years in, they're 23.
Yeah.
When you get to 25, you know what I'm saying?
Right. When did you guys start wrestling?
I got in at 22. That was almost a little too late.
23, and I was definitely late.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you have to make that decision, because everything's so specialized now these days. It's like anything with football. That's why kids are
you're saying specializes in there are positions almost.
Well, that's how athletes are just now in general. Like, that's why you see all these kids that are under all these pressures from their parents. They're out playing Pop Warner, and they're putting a lot of pressure on them. Like, you have to be a football star, and you have to decide when you're 8.
Oh yeah,
and that's kind of like where we've come as a country, athletics wise.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's wrestling has also turned into that as well. So
okay,
yeah, that's just how that goes.
All right, but sorry to bring it down.
No, we're
with some information.
Well, now that we've all admitted our shortcomings,
let's talk.
This has been How This Get Booked, guys. Bye. Behave myself.
Let's talk about Marty Jannetty's gear shortcomings.
Where he was just wearing black dress shorts.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell what they were in the video if he was so bad. I thought they were. I was like, that dude's definitely just wearing jeans.
He's wearing shorts.
He's wearing shorts. Okay.
Which, by the way, if you're going to Google anything, right, you should Google Marty Jannetty's normal ring gear, which is normally like Macho Man-esque, like very fuchsia-looking colors.
Oh,
Google the Rockers.
Google the Rockers
okay.
right now if you're going to look at anything. So to see Marty Jannetty come out in black jorts and
knee
like
pads,
and just knee pads, like I either think that he lost his luggage or he sold his luggage. I haven't decided which. Either or is possible with Marty Jannetty.
The Marty Jannetty of this time definitely.
Oh, the Rockers
sold it.
were the professional. Okay. Oh, he wrestled with Shawn Michaels.
It was when he was in the WWF.
Yes.
They were a team together. Just image it.
I should have done images.
They all flashy.
What am I doing? I bet you're going to appreciate this dead space when you guys
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully this is giving everybody at home.
It's taking a minute, but yeah, it just came out in... You almost didn't notice them, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, those are jorts. And then my girlfriend was like, I was like, she was like, well, surely they're like they're athletic, modified athletic. George.
He like I said, he either lost his gear or sold his gear.
Oh,
I'm not for sure.
well, he's got like
fluorescent.
Yeah, it looks like he's about to climb the aggro crag or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
covered in tassels. And
so
yeah,
that is what he normally dresses like. So for him to come out in
just George, yeah.
But who knows? Maybe a young John Cena bought this pay-per-view and was like, you know what?
I can do that.
I can do that.
But he had the right idea because Marty's were like skin tight.
Yeah.
Cena wrestled in Jinkos.
Yeah, baggy ones.
You gotta get the baggy ones. Get some leg clearance.
Get some hip movement. And then you have Tommy Rogers. So one half of the greatest tag team ever, the Fantastic.
Okay, so yes, both respective Marty Jannetty partners of their tag teams.
That was a couple of Martys.
The couple of Martys. That was probably their tag team name. Also, too, Zane, I must point out Dutch Mantel talking about how Tommy Rogers normally teamed with Jackie Fulton as opposed to saying Bobby Fulton. Which Dutch must have had a brain fart and thought he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling for a few short minutes.
Get his Fargo on?
Yeah, because that's Bobby Fulton and Jackie Fulton teamed up there, so he must have got him confused. So one example of Dutch maybe not being on probably, just had a little brain fart right there. But anyways, let's see. Oh, we have to talk about the ring. There was that... Casino Magic.
The 1-800 number.
The foam triangle.
Which I didn't realize was a foam triangle.
Pyramid or whatever.
Until the match started.
Because somebody kicked it.
Yeah, got knocked over and they fixed it.
Yeah, Marty made the...
I thought it was just on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was on the screen too. I thought it was really bad, graphics. Right. Just, we have to keep this up the whole time. Yeah. And then I didn't realize, oh no, this is on the ring.
Oh, wait, no, you're talking about... Not the the actual strip. It was 1-800. It was a number or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I was looking at what was super annoying was on the actual feed was the pay-per-view.
Oh, the call direct. Yeah.
I actually tried to call that customer service
to see if they would take this shit off my YouTube.
Yeah, so I was like, it said call customer service extension whatever 387, and I was like customer service. I was like, and I looked at Melissa. I was like, I'm gonna try and call this number. And then she's like, well, there's no number to call. You can't just call extension 387. I was like, no, well, it's pay-per-view. So I tried to track down the number, call it, nothing. When I went to the Heroes of Wrestling webpage, the domain name is for sale, so I feel like I should tell us. It told me everything I needed to know about Heroes of Wrestling.
About the longevity.
I'm glad you went because I wanted to go, but I didn't have enough time to check it out. So I'm glad you went. So if you want to buy the Heroes of Wrestling domain, it's available.
For sale. Yeah.
So anybody out there,
I should.
Can that be the new?
No, I should go on Squarespace and buy it. And then post this YouTube up there.
Yes.
That Heroes of Wrestling PPV.com should be just the umbrella website for all of your podcasts.
Because I feel like at this point we're becoming heroes of it.
Heroes of.
Or maybe just Hero of Wrestling.
It's just the Hero of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Cut Zane out. I'm just the hero.
That's fine. It's totally cool. Totally cool.
You just cut him out.
Add me to the mix.
It's not like we're co-hosting things or anything.
No, it's fine.
He doesn't have a pair of headphones. You do.
Yeah, exactly. We know who the big guy is.
Yeah. But anyway, it's
not on ZaneRiley.com. That's for sure.
Do you have a website?
No. Jake does, though.
Oh, okay.
I have 4.
But anyway, old Ono over here.
Yeah.
So the triangle on stage,
yes,
definitely, I would put that in the category of poor production quality.
Yeah, because the thing is, what if someone wants a baseball slide or
anything?
Now this is probably pre-apron bumps in every match.
Well, yeah,
but still, somebody's gonna fall outside the ring, and I'm saying and it's right there.
But then the reason now I'm thinking my gears are turning. Okay. So this probably has to do with what you were saying about the production quality, like the filming, is that they put that up, and that's not good because that lets you know it was a single fixed camera, right?
No, not so much.
They were like, put this here because we have a camera here, and then.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they put it there, but normally you put that information on the ring apron.
Oh, okay.
That's normally how you do that.
Yeah,
but
I thought it was a ladder the whole time.
but the thing is, it's in the way of the guys wrestling is the issue that I have with it. But it goes to show that wrestling production people,
That's funny.
would know that, but just production people just set it on the ring because they're going to wrestle in the ring.
That's definitely the equivalent of having to, as a host, having to move the mic stand back to the front of the stage. You know, like, we're gonna start the next bout, and then whatever. Also, is it bout or match or match? Okay.
You call it whatever you want.
But
It's just two dudes sweating on each other.
We were talking about that last night. I was like, what do you call the whole thing?
What is the PC term?
What did we say? I wrote it down because, I don't even know what I wrote down. It was like wrestling show or match or not show. Show seems
Show is the overall. It is a show.
You call it a show.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
We're not
Then
gonna
the match is the increment.
Gotcha.
You don't have to be like, it's an event, It's whatever.
Because this clearly was not. Well,
It was some sort of event, maybe similar to a hurricane.
Yeah.
Very similar.
I know it was. I know it was one of the worst ever, but I had a lot of fun watching it.
Because you were high.
But
I like to think that I like to.
Had I not gotten high, this still could have been enjoyable.
It was still, yeah.
And this match wasn't all that bad.
No, it wasn't.
Gennedy's in fairly good shape.
Tommy Rogers was.
I'm actually watching. I was like, why doesn't Jannetty have a job right now? And then I realized, he's wrestling in jorts right now. He doesn't have real gear.
I did think that the Simone SWAT team, they weren't very good at. First of all, they weren't very good at anything really. They were like their hits and selling like the hits they were taking and stuff weren't too good. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
They're Samoans. They're not supposed to sell too much, so that's.
Are they not really?
They're stronger.
Is that like an archetype of wrestling?
Yeah.
They're bigger, the stronger.
Well, Samoan.
The Samoan. Okay.
Like Samoans are known to be
super tough.
Yeah.
That's why when you give them a headbutt, they do nothing.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, there was. I don't think it was this match, but there was a match later on where it was a tag team match, and then the dude headbutted each one of them, and then they came together and headbutted him.
I think that was this match.
Was that?
That would have been because that is the.
It was like
it is. You're right, yeah.
That's definitely a Samoan spot.
Even the commentator was like, that didn't affect them at all.
And there was even a kick to the dick that the Samoans barely sold to.
Yeah.
And I was like, is because that's always a legendary thing that Samoans have these super hard heads, and also too a very racist time in wrestling. It was believed that
for sure
black men also had hard heads as well. And there's a legendary story of the Samoan SWAT team doing a double headbutt to Junkyard Dog, and Junkyard Dog just sitting right back up because it had no effect on him because he was a black guy and he had a harder head than Samoans.
Oh, okay.
Very racist time in wrestling.
Yeah,
But that was commonly known as a thing to do.
That
black guys have harder heads than Samoans. Samoans have harder heads than white guys.
Racial
they
rock,
jump
paper,
higher,
scissors.
they run faster, have harder heads.
The racial rock paper scissors of wrestling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Black beats Samoan, Samoan beats white.
Yep.
And then white.
Go ahead, say it.
White suppress black people. Okay.
It was on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah,
Just get it out there.
Thank you for joining KKK Wrestling. We'll catch you guys later.
But of course, Randy made several flubs as far as calling it the flying leg kick.
I was about to say this is where we begin another drinking moment of every time he calls it a flying leg kick instead of a drop kick.
Yeah, the drop kick is.
Flying leg kick sounds more awesome, but it also sounds very incorrect.
But as opposed to what, as far as the leg kick? As like an arm kick?
What do you mean?
Well, it's flying leg kick. What else do you do with your leg? I mean, why is it... Never mind. Fuck you guys.
Wait, what?
Well, flying
No, finish
leg
your point.
kick.
Finish your point.
Leg kick.
We're all listening.
Leg kick.
Okay.
he's
As
like-
opposed to what?
He's not. If you're a novice person,
God.
if you're a novice person,
The flying headbutt.
Yeah.
There's no reason to specify.
Flying head kick.
Yeah.
Flying arm kick.
yeah.
You can only kick with one anatomy part.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. That's the thing. And Dutch Mantel even tries to correct him a couple times, but he still keeps going back to flying leg kick. But he knows what a power slam is.
Mm-hmm.
He calls a power slam, but he doesn't know what a drop kick is. Like William Shatner, like Captain Kirk threw a drop kick. Like drop kick is more commonly known than probably even a power slam.
So you're saying it should be drop kick, but he was calling it flying leg kick,
yes.
and that's incorrect. Okay.
That is incorrect.
Exactly.
All right.
And
I don't know. Does he have any other wrestling announcing credentials?
no, and see that's the thing.
We're talking about the
I
guy
figured he-
with.
Yeah, with the hair. The guy that was the assistant to the hair.
Yeah.
Hair is Dutch Mantel. Randy is the other guy.
We're talking about Randy
Rosenblum. Randy
Rosenblum.
Rosenblum, yes. Who I imagine he's probably like a boxing announcer.
I figured he just worked at the casino.
Yeah, worked at the casino,
Oh,
or he's like a boxing announcer when they have boxing events there.
Okay.
I feel half the people on this show just worked at the casino.
Yeah.
And they're like, tonight you're wrestlers.
Or they were like,
Tonight you are part of the show. Tonight you're a referee.
Well, the thing is, it makes me think about Randy is like part of the maybe the production people are like, oh, well, Randy, he does commentary on racing events that we film or whatever.
Oh, so no problem. Throw him right into it.
Exactly. Like I
Now
feel
that
like
I think about, sorry.
No,
keep
go ahead.
going.
I was
gonna say, now that I think about, Randy definitely sounded like. I think I've exemplified how little I know about wrestling. Randy sounds like if you were to put me in charge of commentating a wrestling match.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what they did. So
he spoke with confidence about something he had no idea about.
Okay.
And I admire that in him.
yeah.
That's how I like to operate.
Yeah.
Talk with confidence as if you know it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Randy was doing the shit out of it.
Yeah. Not doing it right, but he was doing it. That's the important thing.
So he still got a paycheck.
And-
he got paid more for that event than I did. So
Definitely. And also who got paid the production people. Like the guy who's switching the show infuriates me because he keeps switching to the audience mid-match.
Yeah.
And they weren't, every shot of the audience wasn't
Excited.
complimentary.
No.
They weren't excited. My favorite one was when who was the blonde haired dude that everybody was supposed to be swooning
Stan
over?
Lane, yeah.
Stan Lane.
Stan Lane.
Crowd didn't
That's
go
the entire
I
match.
hated that.
That's the entire match. Which I have a theory about that when we get to that.
When we get to it. But no, that was like a double DDT, probably one of the better spots of this whole match, and then just cut to the audience.
Yeah.
For no
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
whatsoever. It infuriated me. Like, why are you cutting to the audience?
Yeah.
And like you said, most of the time when they cut to the audience, they're just chilling, hanging out.
It's those drunk guys up front getting more beer.
Yeah.
He's going, ah!
I did think, this made me think too, so I could, fucking typical comedian, I'm sorry guys, I couldn't help but write bits while I was watching it. But
No, that's what we want you to do.
I was like, to me, kids, because there's a lot of kids in the audience. Every
Yeah.
time I watch it, and some of my favorite wrestling gifs are kids who are there's that famous one of the kid throwing the finger. And
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Kids are super into it.
Yeah, kids are
that
super
you did
into
the
it.
finger here live in the studio.
And I
living room.
thought, to me, it was like kids at a wrestling show is the same level of brainwashing as a kid in church. But socially, I'm more okay with it because wrestling is cool.
Because wrestling's real.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going for?
I wasn't, but you had a better trajectory.
I gotta
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You finished your thought. Right.
Yeah. So not that I think you guys were brainwashed. It's just that to me, it's you guys were those kids in the audience of the thing I watched last night.
Yes.
You're hooked immediately, and you're like, I'm gonna be back here in 12 years.
I'll tell you what.
I'm going to be in this.
Yeah.
When they do
Heroes
Heroes of Wrestling 30,
Yeah,
I'm going
I'll
to be
be
here.
there.
Hopefully not
Or
in
two
this
at this-
ring, but in
Yeah.
a better ring.
A better ring, for sure. Not one where they just put shit on the side of the apron
Yeah.
to promote this casino that's got...
This foam pyramid.
Yeah, it's getting in the way of everything.
That's lying around somewhere, I feel. That's lying around in a warehouse in central Mississippi or whatever.
So it's probably still it's in the basement of the Magic.
Oh, they may. Who knows? Maybe they use that for boxing events.
They might.
And that's why they never thought, oh, it's not a big deal for wrestling. We use these for boxing events all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine that this building houses boxing events.
Because boxers aren't baseball sliding in and out of the ring.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
And I just said that.
You brought back something we talked about a moment ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what a baseball slide is, but I can guess it's when they slide into underneath the bottom
Yeah,
rope.
and they kick somebody.
As if they were playing
Gotcha,
baseball.
Yeah. What's the normal slide in and out? Just like when
It's
you
just getting in
go
and
shoulder
out.
first? Is that
Just getting in and out.
It's nothing? That's a lot less sexy than the
Yeah,
baseball slide.
We baseball slide everywhere.
Okay.
But anyways, this match happens. This match ends.
Not that bad, like we said.
Yeah,
Pretty decent match.
Yeah, Dutch Mantel makes a very interesting comment. I must point out he says it doesn't say take a brain-sized brain scientist to figure that out.
You guys are horrible.
That alone should be mentioned.
He also talked about Gene Dixon. He's like, who do I look like, Gene Dixon? Which
I don't know who Gene Dixon is.
I don't know either. Please tell me you Googled.
Oh God.
I Googled it. And guys, it's worth the Google.
Okay.
Jean Dixon was a psychic. Now, this is very dated because she died in 97.
Oh, it's a woman.
Yes.
Okay.
She died in 97. But her heyday was like the 40s-ish.
Okay.
Oh my god.
40s, 50s. They came up with something called the Jean Dixon equation.
Okay.
Where it's this mathematician said that when she gets something right, it's the idea that when you predict something correctly, people tend to forget about the insane amount of things you falsely predicted.
Oh, yeah.
And it's named after her. Her biggest prediction was she predicted that Reagan was going to win.
I've heard that. So the idea is that you make a bunch of predictions,
And
then
when one
get,
sticks,
it's a big one, and
Yeah.
that stick. Okay, sorry.
you forget about the others.
Yeah.
Her biggest miss was that China was going to start World War III in 58.
Well, she might have got the day wrong.
But that was the Jean Dixon.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, she may have got the year wrong.
I forgot the context for
Yeah.
what was the initial?
It was just, what is he doing? Who do I look like? Jean Dixon? Kind of thing. It was-
Which is such a 1999 reference.
yeah. You know.
I saw it on Friends one time,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah. Oh man.
And then there was that Gene Dixon thing they did on Seinfeld that one time. It was hilarious. Now we go to
History lesson.
Sherri Martell and George the Animal Steel checking into a hotel room.
Yeah.
And
Sherri Martell is so damn hot.
Yes,
She was very attractive.
can we
She's
talk about like
super hot.
Jordan Wood like
She was very attractive. Yeah, she was hot. She was hot.
yeah,
for
and
sure.
I felt like she got hotter throughout these segments too. Like she was very attractive when she checked in.
Yeah.
She was a little bit hotter when she got a promo, and then by the
Yeah.
time she got to the ring,
Smoking.
holy cow!
Yeah, her acting though
Not so much.
was atrocious.
She was
For a
the-
second, I thought it was going to turn into a porn. Her acting was that bad.
Yeah.
Not because it was sexy or anything, but just like it was that bad.
It was just so over the top.
It was very
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just- but
Which you'll see that in wrestling. That's
Yeah,
what
okay,
we're-
yeah.
It's better to be over the top, than some people you stand out a little bit more. But the moment where she's going to the hotel room and like look at the shiny thing, because George Animal Steel's whole character is he's an animal and he acts
Yeah.
like, and here's something shiny, and you rip the dress off of her. She's got pantyhose pulled up over her belly button and like a white bra,
Right.
and then they go into a hotel room. So
Yeah.
that's that.
His character, I don't know how to feel about it because it was like, it was the most over the top thing of like, it was like George the Animal Steel. I'm like, that's a good name.
And it fits with what you're doing.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh, it's a literal animal. It seemed a little kitschy to me. I'm sorry.
Because he's hairy and stuff like that.
God, he was so hairy.
But that's the thing,
And
is like, and he eats turnbuckles and he's got the green tongue.
Yeah,
And here's
yeah.
the fun piece of information
I
about
couldn't tell. Everything was kind of yellowy. just 'cause
Yeah,
of
the
VHS
tracking
upload.
on the YouTube was all fucked.
Yeah.
But they mentioned the green tongue.
Yeah,
So.
but like the story of George Animal Steel is he was actually a history teacher, a social studies teacher in Rochester, Minnesota. I think I get this right. But it's in Minnesota for sure. And when school ended, he wrestled for the WWF like back in the 70s during the summertime and made money as a wrestler. And then they would do something where like he would get injured, disappear during the school year, then come back around. And the
that's
thing
cool.
is, the kids that were students, because wrestling is very segmented and territorialized, so like the people in Minnesota, they had their own wrestling there, and they didn't have them.
And he wasn't a part of his
No.
local.
No,
So his kids had
So they
no
didn't-
idea.
yeah,
no
they didn't know
idea.
what's
The
going
only
on in
way
New York.
it wasn't until like the magazines that they started bringing the magazine. Is this you, Mister?
Yeah.
And, no, that's not me. That just looks like somebody else.
Wow.
Wrestling. Yeah, and like he had this whole double life going for a long period of time.
That's so cool. There was a moment that I was like, I've only seen bits and pieces of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, but like there were bits and pieces of watching it, this Heroes of Wrestling, where I was like immensely interested in both the history of all the wrestlers, because I picked up on the fact that they were past their prime, but at the time they were probably huge wrestlers, right? Like a lot of these guys were huge.
I mean, George Animal Steel was in WrestleMania 3 with Macho Man Randy Savage and was involved in like one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which took place in front of 90,000 people.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah, at one point, like every one of these guys were huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, they've been on WrestleManias. They've wrestled in front of 60,000, 70,000 people. Like every one of these guys had a time where they were
Top of the world, making the big bucks.
Right.
You know, this is the lower end.
When you fall from wrestling, when these guys, when they're on the twilight of their career, and they fall from grace, how hard is the fall?
Well, you see, it's in levels. Some of them are smart enough to set up for it after.
Right.
And guys that don't even like have these big runs, like Austin Idol, like never had like a big run in WWF and never did WrestleManias, but he made a considerable amount of money, saved it all away, invested it wisely, and really doesn't have to wrestle or make any appearances again or do anything. He's actually taken care of. And that's the guy you would never know. But then you have someone
like Marty Jannetty, who got kicked out of the hotel we stayed in at WrestleMania weekend because he got super drunk and started playing in one of the fountains.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah. And also, too, even in '99, I'm speculating on whether or not he sold his gear or lost his gear.
He would have at the time.
And we don't know. Even in a time where he actually looks pretty good and he could do a little bit, I'm still not for sure because he's that erratic in how he falls.
Because it seems like, you always hear, you don't always hear about it, which I feel like is a huge indication of how hard, or how there is literally no support system for wrestlers post-career.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. You need to find that right place, and that's why I'm doing comedy and 4 podcasts, and I'm trying to run away from my feelings, and run away from my failures.
Right.
So
Are we all?
But you got to do something. But obviously, Greg the Hammer Valentine and George Animal Steel wanted to be on this Heroes of Wrestling. That's what they did.
Over here.
That's what they did. And Greg, of course, grabbing the microphone and cuts a promo. And as soon as he grabbed the promo and grabbed the microphone, I'm like, yep. It's going to be one of those shows where everybody grabs a microphone, they cut a little promo, and that's what they did.
They sure do. They all wanted their 3-minute set.
They all did that. George Animal Steel, of course, does his whole gimmick and stuff like that. And then we come to the Sherri Martell
gimmick. That's what I would. Yeah, that's good. I wish he didn't talk so much. The animal thing, I would be sold on the animal thing if he didn't talk so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, normally he doesn't. He talked a lot more in this. A lot more.
Because he was like, fight, and I was just like, I don't believe you.
Calm down, animal. You're not supposed to speak.
Calm down, Mr. the Animal.
You're getting probably George Animal Steel at like 65%.
Yeah.
Like at this moment in time, he's like, I'm doing a payday. I'm doing my thing.
Gotcha.
Like he's got nothing really left to prove, and he's done his deal. But,
he's put his time in.
Sherri. That was okay.
And then of course,
this one it was sensuous Sherri on this.
Sensuous Sherri.
Because of course they're on pay-per-view, they have to be very careful of legality in a sense.
Okay.
That's why the Bushwhackers are not the Bushwhackers; they're Luke and Butch. Because they legally can't.
Men from down under.
And Sensational Sherri can't be Sensational Sherri; she has to be sensuous.
The names are owned by the WWE.
Yeah, names are owned by the
WWE.
So they have to be very careful of that. Anyways, George Animal Steel gets beat up because he was basically trying to take his shirt off. That happens. I don't know if the Sherri Martell heel turn was clever or a little half-baked.
I wrote she was the hardest working person on this show.
Yeah.
She tried so hard with what little she had. At one point, she's like getting whipped off the ropes in heels.
Yeah.
And takes that that clothesline backwards over in heels.
Which she's done you see her do that all the time, like in WCW. Like she was always doing that in WWF. She was always willing to take bumps. And this is like women in wrestling. At this time was real bad. But when she was doing it, it was like a completely that women were treated like midgets.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so she grew up in that area, and she just anytime she had an opportunity to really go for it. Yeah, I think she was the hardest.
She looks like she could take and dish out an ass
whooping. For sure.
Yeah. She was one of the best ever.
Yeah, she undoubtedly. But also during this match, I must point out production-wise. This is where I started to get most infuriated with the hard camera angle and they had an insane amount of headroom. If you notice that the bottom of the ring was at the bottom of the screen, and then there's all this empty space on the top end, and I'm just like, why the fuck are they doing this? And then I realized that they have like the Heroes of Wrestling logo at the entranceway, and I go, oh my god, there's a producer and director like, hey, let's make sure we have this logo in this hard camera shot. Let's forget that it looks like shit right now. Once again, why non-wrestling people should never fucking film wrestling. It's infuriating. Because that hard camera shot is what you go to when you don't have anything, and if that looks like shit, if it's all just negative space...
Your hard camera shot is ring center stage.
Yeah, the ring center stage. Like, they were okay in the first match where he was on the ring and you could see everything going on, but then they zoomed out so much that if they went to the floor, even in the front, they wouldn't see what's going on. They have all this negative space, so like this insane amount of headroom on your hard camera shot, which is usually you're going to go to that more than anything else. So I was completely infuriated by that. But anyways, the match happens. Jordan, what was your thoughts on George Animal Steel's eating the turnbuckles and everything that he did? Entertainable?
It was. I mean, it was. I knew it was bound to happen. They talked about it so much, and then when he didn't do it during the middle of the match, which I feel like would have been if he had like. I wanted him to eat it during the match and then turn around and beat the shit out of Valentine. That's what I wanted was that.
Like Popeye gets his spinach and he beats Bluto's ass.
Right. But what happened, obviously, as soon as I saw them and they were like, whatever, they played up their like love, romance, whatever, I was like, he's going to leave. She's going to leave him.
I got real upset and like downtrodden.
Like, I tell her, I was like, I see it coming. And sure enough, she started not choke. I hated that. She wasn't even choking him out. She was just like claws on face through his shirt. But
and he didn't know, and he took his shirt off, and then he didn't even know.
Because he's such an animal. He's so
dumb. Big dumb animal, folks.
But anyways, that match happens. Moving right along to the back.
Wait, who? I forgot who won that.
Greg Valentine won because Sherri hit Animal with a chair for the 1, 2, 3. Come back. Valentine hits him with a chair after the fact, and George acts like it doesn't even affect him at all.
No,
which means that Sherri Martell's swinging fucking baseball bats with that chair.
Or he can only be struck by the look of his life.
Which is a far deeper character flaw. Which is very...
This is Heroes of Wrestling, not Breaking Bad.
Which is very Samson-esque, or like Achilles
Jordan's trying to come up with a Game of Thrones storyline.
We all take chair hits hard, but George's Animal Steel takes emotional hits harder.
And that's why you're here.
How did Shakespeare get booked?
Exactly. Anyways, moving on to match number 3. Julio Fantastico, otherwise known as Julio De Niro, taking on Too Cold Scorpio.
Also known as Rick James.
Yeah. Which
he was, dude.
Which Too Cold, like, he normally has, like, really flashy entrance ring gear as well. But, like, he just has black spandex on for this.
Do you think that their outfits this is probably a stretch and totally not true, but, like, just as the name can be, can their outfits be owned by, like, the look?
Yeah.
Can it be owned by?
Yeah. I think that's kind of why the Bushwhackers gear is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? And, like, certain people are that way, you know what I'm saying? Like, that also can be an issue, too. But, like, Too Cold shouldn't have a problem whatsoever, because, like, normally he'd be wearing, like, fuchsia orange and white spandex.
He had just got done in WWE at this point, and Julio was just going into ECW. Too Cold just got done being Flash Funk. Yeah. His name was Flash Funk.
I love that name.
Yeah,
he was Flash a dancing pimp, and
I don't know about the gimmick, but the name is great.
Yeah, he's like Too Cold. Very, very legendarily underrated wrestler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. This match was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and Julio also very underrated as well. Like, it's amazing that most people don't know who Julio De Niro is. Like, if you're a Northeast indie wrestling connoisseur, like, only you will know.
Specific.
Yeah, very, very niche specific.
Yeah.
Like, only you will know how good Julio De Niro was. Like, he was like a go-to stalwart guy. Very good. Very underrated. I wrote in my notes the Latin Caleb Conley.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're also, when they were that good and that flexible, they were called jobbers.
Yeah.
Jobbers?
Yes, that would be the guy that was, you paid to lose. Like, you go and you're an enhancer. You make this other guy look great because you're so good. He might not be that good, but you're so good.
Was
you're
that the case here? Was Too Cold?
No. Too Cold is like this. I think would be the only real dream match because it put De Niro in a position to where he actually got some stuff in and was a force in the match.
That was always
De Niro was Fantastico.
Yes.
Okay, so Julio. Okay,
and Too Cold, great as well.
Yeah. Julio, like, he's definitely a guy that they, especially in the Northeast Indies, like, hey, we didn't have a good match. Like, we need to book Julio against Xavier. Julio versus AJ Styles. Julio versus Christopher Daniels.
I did really like this match.
Yeah,
it was great.
I didn't like Julio's pre-match interview. It was just a little.
Oh yeah.
A little bit. It was like kind of repetitive, and maybe that's part of coming to appreciate wrestling is like taking the fluff and circumstance for what it is, but I just had a hard time eating some of the
that would probably be a criticism of him, and that's why like he always just let his wrestling speak for itself because not that great of a talker. But at the same time,
that's
But at the same time too,
that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, he's just some guys just aren't great talkers.
Right.
But like back in the day, they would just give him a manager. But now the days of managers have gone. Guys are now have to talk, and they have to be like a 5-tool player. You know what I'm saying?
Is that was the point of managers back? Like,
yeah, if you got a guy,
the mouthpiece.
Yeah, mouthpiece.
Oh my God, you guys learning all kinds of stuff.
Back on that upswing.
Okay,
Here we are.
Here we go.
When you leave here, full on you.
But
I'm gonna go
Too Cold.
buy a pay-per-view.
Always been in a role in these legend shows is making sure you're the guy that has the good match.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he still has that role today, like these ECW reunion shows. He's the guy that we have to have a good match with the book Too Cold versus C.W. Anderson or Stevie Richards or whoever. But Too Cold's always been a guy. Even now today, if you want a good match on a type of show like this, he's the go-to guy. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a good idea to come out with a WCW replica belt.
I had written down here, what belt was that? And I looked everywhere. I knew it was... I thought it was like maybe a different company using the same belt. Because he wasn't a champion at that time of anything.
He basically came out with like a toy belt.
Yeah.
That belt he came out with was
I saw the belt, yeah. I never even...
That was a WCW world title belt, but a replica. Like something...
Was he...
Never.
No.
Oh.
So it's basically like Andy Dalton of the Cincinnati Bengals walking around with a Super Bowl trophy. That's basically what he would have been. That's him running out on a home field game with a Super Bowl trophy. That's basically what he did.
But if you look at the Wikipedia page under the match overviews, it even says he's a champion.
What is he? Yeah, well, okay, that's the C right there.
Yeah, that's what that C means. It's great. Like, I wonder if they were like, okay, Too Cold Scorpio is the champion of Heroes of Wrestling. And that was their long-term goal, is eventually he'll be...
But here's the funny thing about them saying anything like whatsoever about that belt, and the commentators really didn't mention it at all, anything. That belt is like a replica of the WCW NWA belt. And when Ric Flair had the actual belt, not the replica belt, but when he had the actual belt and he appeared on like WWF television with it, well, he was still... Like, basically Ric Flair had the belt for WCW and then jumped to WWF. And he had this belt and he put it on WWF TV. Like, he got sued because of it.
Holy shit.
For having the likeness, much in the similar way of, guys wearing, what you brought about, guys with the gear.
But the belt itself.
Yeah. So, the fact that they came on pay-per-view with a WCW, like, kind of trademarked image, and even Medusa with the WWF women's title, and she put it in the trash in WCW, they sued her for that, for having the WWF belt on WCW.
Wow.
So there's already legal precedent. So literally, WCW could have sued Heroes of Wrestling because it had a replica WCW belt on their pay-per-view. Because pay-per-view and broadcasting stuff is very tricky like that. So I find that very funny as well.
It didn't even register to me. I saw he had a belt, and then I was just like, oh, he's got a belt. No,
But see, as a common fan, I think that's why he brought it out. Like, oh, he's a champion. He's good. So
I did solidify. I was like, oh, this guy is probably going to win the match.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of...
Because he came out very, under is the word I want to use, but like there wasn't a lot of pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
Well, a
He did
couple
do
of
a
these
lot of
matches, they
talking.
just stop playing music. They just kind of walk out.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like this match, they just shared the same music, but like Too Cold came out to the same song that Julio came out to, and just
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. And of course, during this match, the one good match during the show, they cut to the crowd so many times. I put
all the time.
I put in my notes, "Quit cutting to the crowd!" Exclamation point!
Writing
Exclamation
notes.
point! Exclamation point!
It's a 20-year-old show and you're writing.
I'm so
Set
mad.
notes for him.
I hate it when they did that. But like, this match was so good. Did you enjoy it, Jordan?
I liked it. Yeah. We're still talking about Too Cold, right?
Well, yeah, Too Cold.
Yeah,
Too Good.
I thought it was. Honestly, I thought it was one of my more favorite matches. I think. I'm looking through the lineup, but yeah, it was definitely one of my more favorite matches of the night.
For sure, but also too, Randy called Too Cold Dragon a
Oh,
couple of times.
Yeah.
Like,
You just saw Air the Dragon.
all right, maybe it's a Mississippi racial slur. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I hope so. I hope it was. But, well, this is where we also
Damn
have the
dragons!
everywhere. We also have the introduction of Captain Lou here,
Yes, Captain Lou show up.
also known as Super Mario.
Yeah, yes, you might.
Lou Albano, I know,
Yeah.
I'm following.
You
and this
and
is-
Randy. He goes, I know who Captain Lou Albano is.
And this is where we get the BB insult again, which we had a lot during the Wrestling Council show, where he made that insult multiple times in that show. But a brain the size of the BB put in the head of a bird that flies backwards or some crap like that.
Well, he's got his classic line.
He does.
He's
He
got to
sure
stick.
does.
He's got to stick to him.
And he
But
sure did there.
That's for sure. But like, you enjoy this match, Zane? Like, actually, let me bring in the conversation that you shot to me after you saw this match.
I was getting ready to bring it up. Like
Please do.
I wrote it earlier in the show after the video package, though it was really weird that it was a hurricane. The opening video package was awesome. The first match, okay match to have for an opener. Sherri Martell was in the second one. Good. She was awesome.
you know
she
what
made
you're
that
gonna
match.
get out of Georgia.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you have this quote unquote amazing match. I wondered why we were watching this show. I did not get, other than Randy, I didn't really understand why this was something to watch. We were just kind of wasting our time. Then the remainder of the show occurred.
Yes. Then we get into match number 4, which this is the legendary match that people talk about. that-
Worst match on the worst pay-per-view of 1999.
Arguably of all time, right?
Yeah.
I would say arguably yes,
Yes.
for sure.
I just want to add on to that as a non-fan. The only thing I caught about this is that the commentator, I caught the names for all the other matches except for this one, and I didn't get a chance to write down the names because I was laughing so hard because the commentator referred to this match as goofballs. I think he was talking about the Bushwhackers.
Yes.
Yeah, because he probably in his mind was thinking Bushwhacker. Don't say Bushwhacker. Don't say Bushwhacker.
He did pause. I do remember he was like, these.
because that's something that could have been triggered a lawsuit as well. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? But yes, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov taking on Luke and Butch. Dave Meltzer, I believe, gave this an absolute zero rating.
Whoa! I'm glad I watched this one all the way through.
Yep.
Brian Alvarez repeatedly referred to this match being so bad, gave it minus more stars than there are in the universe. On a 5-star scale.
It got negative, all of them.
All of them.
And then on the
Every-
Jordan scale, this is the point when Melissa went to bed. it was a minute into this match. So
This is where it all fell apart. Now, of course, the thing is, though, they do their typical. Nikolai sings the Russian national anthem.
Yeah.
The Sheik does his clubs.
Which I believe were just red rope the red rope poles in front of the hotel. He just kind of painted them.
oh, that's what he did. He was like,
The
is that what he
swing-
normally does? What does he normally do?
Yeah, it's like the big bat clubs, aren't they?
Yeah, they used to be like big clubs, but he switched to those things. I've seen him do even sledgehammers like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, the thing is,
I
like,
wasn't impressed by what he did.
well, I don't think he was impressed with what he did because he was like normally he does it effortlessly,
and he was bouncing him off his lats or whatever.
Whatever those are.
But the thing that's like, I don't want to criticize an athlete going through the twilight of his career. But Sheik does look really bad at this time, and the only reason that I bring that up, and I would normally not glaze over it, but I saw a wrestling show, a VHS tape of a wrestling show that the Sheik had less than 2 years before this show, and he was in good shape.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't have that much of a downward spiral in 2 years if I tried. I don't know what happened.
He looked very bad.
But the thing is, I should show. I wish I'll find the picture or something like that. But he was in good shape, not far off from his regular prime. Literally 2 years before this, so I've got to believe that he had some sort of injury, or his back, or everything was just falling apart.
Well, he's in a wheelchair now, so it'd been probably whatever.
Yeah. So whatever,
on the way
whatever was going to happen just turned on a downward. So this might have been one of the last times he did the club thing, because you could see him visibly gritting his teeth, getting through it. But
and his he of all the men that wrestle, or of all the wrestlers throughout the entire show, he looked the worst physically. I don't mean overweight. I mean his knees looked shot. They were bow-legged.
Yeah.
They were incredibly bow-legged, and there was something going on with his stomach. It looks like he had been born with and had always worn a weight belt. His his chest.
Well, see, that was the thing.
Cage.
The footage I saw from 2 years earlier, it looked like he had a massive hernia. Sticking out of his belly button.
Yeah,
and that could have been an issue too, and it wouldn't allow him to work out. He really shouldn't be wrestling at this time. And Nikolai, even too, saw footage of him 2 years prior to this, and he was fine, and he could move. He was very mobile. This, not so much. And the Bushwhackers have never been known to be technicians in the ring, so that's pretty much why we've come to an impasse of this match turning out the way that it did.
He was, I guess he was 55.
Yeah, I mean,
at the time of that's like.
Natsu is now 72.
I'm 27 and I couldn't do that. I mean, I wasn't too impressed by the. It looked like he was just what are those things called? Putting out the ropes. Oh god, like a grocery store, assembly line. This looked like the pylons you pull out with the
a movie theater.
That's what it looks like. It looked like you just spray painted those, and that's what he was using.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping he was going to do that thing where gymnasts go up and he balances on him and he does a handstand on those two poles.
Yeah,
and then I was skeptical for the right reason, because I was like, his body can't handle that. So.
Yeah, it is sad to see him in this condition, and I said I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I just feel like I should point out that something happened in a 2 year process,
right,
where things got very, very rough for him. But obviously he's still wrestling for the money, and that's one of those things that happens in wrestling. But Luke and Butch come out, and they were referred to as Luke and Dutch by Randy.
Luke and Dutch.
And Dutch immediately goes, "What are you talking about?" Now, I must bring this up. I don't think this is widely publicized, but this has definitely been put out there by multiple people. It may even be by him. He's put out by himself. I don't know if they've come out like this, but definitely Brickhouse Brown has mentioned this on multiple releases, and I feel like I should bring this up. Is that the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, have been, Brickhouse Brown has made mention that they are homosexuals, which, great, fine, good for them. Obviously in wrestling, they're you have Pat Patterson and Orlando Jordan and many people, and they have wonderful careers, and there's nothing against that. There's a lot of stereotypes that come over, but we are in Mississippi, a very racist place, a very backwards place. If you were to tell these people in Mississippi that two homosexuals were going to come out and lick the sides of faces of young children, I feel like they would. There wouldn't be wrestling in Mississippi ever again.
These guys wouldn't have made it. They would have been burned at the stake.
Yeah, they would have not left. And the thing is, they're wrestling two foreign powers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like everyone would just hate everybody, and they would burn the building down.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. Like I don't have a problem with it, but they are in Mississippi. You know what I'm saying?
These guys were foreigners. They were New Zealanders, right?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
And they referred to him as Australian at one point, which was always very funny. Now, my favorite part of the entire show was done by Sheik and Nikolai trying to get everyone to chant USA by saying, "Don't you chant USA?"
Oh yeah.
And then who comes to the America's front lines to fight these evil powers but a couple of New Zealanders?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
But the continuous chants of USA that rang out during this match is my favorite part.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The type of like heel heat of like nationalism and stuff like that. Actually, the Bushwhackers, before they were the Bushwhackers, they were the sheep herders. They were. They also did basically kind of what the Sheik and Nikolai did. They would come up with the New Zealand flag and talk bad about America and get people because they would do it in Texas, and people in Texas would chant USA, USA. So the fact that there's like we've already done these tricks before.
Full circle,
we've come full circle.
Yeah.
We were the bad guys once, getting people to chant USA. Now you're chanting USA for us. It's all kinds of bonkers. Like,
and to show you, you asked about like, was this in their twilight and what are they doing these days kind of thing. I just did a show this past Saturday, with Luke.
Oh my god!
Of the Bushwhackers.
I did one with him Friday.
Yep. You sure did. That's right.
Years old. He's 69 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic guy. Very smart, very brilliant. Like with the sheep herders, when they were going in Texas, they were unbelievable.
He's the one that owns gyms these days.
Yes. He owns
so
gyms.
that's I think that's to my question the question I'm wondering is, you did a show with Luke.
Yeah.
Is he doing that show because he needs the money or because he loves wrestling?
Because he still loves wrestling, and he makes good money being Luke.
Yeah.
Good enough money where he wouldn't turn it down.
Gotcha.
But on the side, he owns gyms.
Yeah.
So
is that a big thing?
Like a gym, like where you work out.
Well, but this isn't
That's
just
a big thing.
Yeah. It's not just like a workout gym. This is like a wrestling theme.
No. This
not
is like
themed,
like a workout gym.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like a Planet Fitness, but in Australia.
Oh, wow.
No, it's in Florida.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's down in Florida. He was telling me about it. He does quite well. He's got a very nice gym, nice facility, a lot of clients.
Yeah.
And wrestling is just like extra income. Mm-hmm. It's like him.
It's a side job.
And if you can still perform at
like you drive an Uber.
years old.
And it's a lot of pictures and autographs. That's where he makes a lot of his money.
Yeah.
He goes in the ring and do a couple things. And he's got
licks the guy, does his deal.
Yeah, licks the guy, does his deal.
Goes home and fucks that same guy.
Yeah. Hey.
Licks the little kids in North Carolina and the racists in North Carolina.
Did he lick a kid?
No, I don't think he did. I think he went straight. He's very like, all right, let's get this out of the way so I can sell more pictures. It was.
How much are
to the
photos?
ring.
Some guys all depend. Some guys are $20. Some
10,
guys are
20
10.
bucks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some guys are 50. It all really depends.
We are $5.
Oh, $5 really?
We're $5. We're $5.
Or free. Depends if you ask nicely.
Depends. Just to get you to go away. Stop touching shit on my table.
Yep. But
I digress.
This match.
This was a bad match. I could tell that, but I felt like it was both teams and all four individuals at one point this would have been a really fucking good match.
At one point, probably.
At one point, yes. Like, unfortunately,
or at least entertaining as fun.
It would have been probably 1987. Like, we're 12 years past.
Wow. Yeah.
When this probably would have been good.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at with this.
Not really like its badness is that to be like beheld, because there's not a lot of particular things you can say to get the point across about how bad it was. Like there wasn't a lot of like past what we've just talked about. There wasn't a lot more specific points about why this was bad.
Yeah,
that it was.
Yeah, you just have to watch it. There's a point where they're doing the double train wreck, and it almost looks into like everybody almost ran into each other, and just a lot of it has to do with just guys just probably wrestling a little past their prime, and I don't
doing things they shouldn't. There's like Nikolai picked up one of them to do the little side breaker.
Yeah.
But totally couldn't hold him up. He kept falling over and like kept trying to pick him back up and then at one point just kind of laid him on his leg and let him roll off kind of thing.
So let's not pick at the bones.
Yeah.
Because
let's leave them with their dignity.
Yeah.
As much as they left themselves with.
Let's just say 12 years earlier, this would have been a good match.
Awesome.
But let's also say
there would have been belts and.
But let's also say this match is 12 years back. Where it needed to be. Anyways, we go to the limo attack of Tully Blanchard, perpetrated by Stan Lane.
Before you say anything, this was one of my favorite matches.
Mine too.
Tully Blanchard, he was one of my favorite wrestlers of the night. I really liked him. I don't know if I should or I shouldn't.
No, you definitely should. And this promo,
I was about to say the promo alone.
The promo of him outside,
like wiping his mouth and getting
that
real.
was fucking great. That was the best one of the night.
Yeah.
That like Tully is definitely one of those guys. When I was saying like 5-tool players, a guy that is that good in the ring, and can talk. He was of those guys.
He was
like
a caliber.
He's top 5, top 10 on most people's lists of being one of those guys. So
of like all time.
Yeah, of all time. And he's always taken a lot of pride. Like some of these guys on the show, they're just getting a payday and they're doing their thing.
Right.
Like Tully never gets into anything. He doesn't do a lot of these.
I could see that. that.
And he even said in his promo he doesn't do a lot of them, but when he does, he gives everything he possibly could.
Yeah.
And that's why he doesn't do a lot of them, because he gives such effort to it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's exactly what he did on this one. Like, just that interview, that promo alone is just gold. Like, just great. And, Stan Lane's still in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
And he grabs the microphone and does his Michael Buffer.
But at least he wasn't bad when he had that microphone. At least he was...
He sounded exactly like Michael Buffer.
Yeah, he got a...
Stan Lane's from Greensboro.
Yeah.
Stan
Tully's
Flair.
from Charlotte.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And what are they doing now? At the time, Stan Lane was on ESPN. He was a correspondent.
Yes. Fantastic line by Stan Lane. He said, Tully, you're busy preaching in tents while I am on ESPN. Like...
That's great.
I just want to
good.
I just want to say that to people in general, like on the street. Like, listen, buddy, you're preaching in tents while I'm on ESPN. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a great line.
And Tully is a preacher.
Yeah, he at this moment in time, his
like a pastor now.
Yeah.
He
goes around and
he's a great public speaker.
Yes.
Yeah. At this moment in time, at this moment in time, he's going to prisons. Talking to prisoners.
They didn't even bring that up.
Like at this moment in time, he has given himself to the Lord and gone through and done that.
Yeah.
He had a promotion that he ran with his father and did a lot of speaking engagements.
Gotcha.
Of that nature.
He does have like kind of the pastor's name. Mm-hmm. Tully Blanchard. Is that his real name? Because that that's too good of a name to change.
You would have to be a wrestler. Like,
Right.
Well, I mean, even his father, Joe Blanchard.
Yeah.
So
his,
his
father.
Joe
Blanchard was his father, and his father was also a promoter. So he was the one that promoted the place in Texas where Luke and Butch had their big heel run. Where they
were herding sheep.
Yeah, where they were sheep herders. So
Barentine has I don't know if he's done it in a while, but he has a good joke about. That's what I was thinking about his name, Tully Blanchard. And Matt Barentine here in Charlotte, he's got a good joke about naming your kid like a band name, but not an existing band name, but like the type of name that a band would have. So like Suicide Circus or whatever. It would be great if you could name your kid something so that you would name your kid and he would grow up to be genre specific. So you name your kid Tully Blanchard and he's like, oh well, that's a wrestler's name.
So he goes up. Stormy Winter. So now you've got to be on the news telling the weather.
Anyways, both of you guys like this match?
Yes. We talked about earlier about like the shooting to the crowd for no reason.
Yeah, God.
Okay.
Yes, I hated it.
This is the prime example of that. Like, they keep talking about all of these women.
I was about to say, here's my theory. If you watch the old NWA stuff, which is all over the network, which I watch that shit all the time.
Okay.
Every time the Horsemen come out to cut a promo, they, instead of showing the Horsemen so much, they show all these girls in the audience. losing their fucking minds that the Horsemen are there because they're sex symbols at this time.
Wasn't there there were some guys in this that were in the Horsemen, right?
Tully was in the Horsemen.
Tully, okay. That's right, yeah.
Yes.
So they keep showing these girls, except the girls they're showing are the most uninterested girls of all time.
Yeah, they really...
They did not give a shit. They didn't know what was going on.
One chick looked like, it was like a blonde chick who was like sitting on the stairs who looked asleep almost. Shit, they looked like they caught a girl yawning almost.
So I think that's what they were trying to do, was to put over the old school feel of when a horseman talks, you show the women because they're all gushing.
Oh, yeah.
They just showed,
But they
every
did it for
bad
Stan
woman.
Lane, or they did it.
Yeah,
for
Well, he was also like Stan Lane was also a sex symbol back in the day too.
Okay.
Like,
He definitely was, but like not a sex symbol in 1999. Unfortunately.
No.
And they kept like, even as less interested as the girls were, they tried to sell it so much. Like, look, she's really thinking about it.
And my
I think she's
favorite,
looking at me. I think she's looking at me.
my favorite one was like, the women are just swooning over him. I was like, no, they're not.
And like, isn't it kind of shitty that it's almost like objectifying women? Like, oh, just see over there, she's definitely thinking about cock right now. Like, she's so thinking
She
about cock.
wants it so bad.
Like, and like that woman didn't ask for you to say that
right,
about
yeah,
her. Like, she didn't
yeah.
sign a waiver. And like, is this not like a wrestling show in 1999, or is this like Mad Men? You know what I'm saying? Because like, so like, oh, this girl, she's definitely thinking about getting in Stan Lane's pants. And she's just chilling, just trying to watch a show. Like leave me alone. Why? And didn't even know the camera was on her. Like, very like voyeuristic, pervy.
And what's even creepier to me, it's so voyeuristic, but what's even creepier is that for most of the time for that cameraman, we weren't watching his feed, and so he was just panning the crowd with nobody but him watching young women.
looking for girls.
Mm-hmm. And
Also, the producer's like, hey, we need some young girl shots. So
See, but the thing is, I've worked ringside camera for Ring of Honor, and I was one of those gopher guys. Like, give me some crowd shots. So I've been that guy looking for.
You've
crowd
been looking through that window.
Yeah, I've looked through that window, and also too, this match is when all of a sudden there was a ringside camera guy that started to do a zoom in and turn as if this is like an episode of ECW. You would know, like a '90s style music video.
whoa!
Yeah, they started doing that in this match. In match 5, it's all of a sudden like a ringside camera guy's like, "Hey, let's have some fun."
In one of the slowest matches where you don't need that.
No, and yeah, actually a match where you don't need that whatsoever. But it's like
Where were you at during Julio Fantastico and Two Cold Scorpio?
Yeah, like it's like, where are you making these decisions? Like, hey, can you just do this? Like I don't get this whatsoever. But also too, let's bring up Wikipedia. So, they talk about this whole show being disorganized. They bring up the finish of this match, which
I was going to say.
Wikipedia is actually wrong.
I feel
this.
that, I agree. I feel that the finish was correct.
Yes, they said that the
finish is when you do the pin.
Yeah,
And the win.
yeah. When they count to 3,
The finish. You know when the match is over, Jordan?
That's a finish.
You know when the ref raises the guy's hand? That's the finish.
But
yeah, I agree. Incorrect. Wikipedia. Sucks.
yes,
Wait, what'd you say?
Wikipedia is incorrect. They said that there was a miscommunication in the finish. Like, Stan Lane hit his finishing maneuver, which this was not his finishing maneuver, and they counted to 3 and he raised his hand, and there was some sort of confusion. This was not confusion. The finish that they did in this match is a finish that was done, I believe, for Harley Race and Ric Flair right before the Starrcade 83 match, when Harley won it back after Flair won it the first time, where they do belly to back suplex. Both men's shoulders are down, but the person that received the maneuver gets his shoulder up in time. And then, of course, they count to 3. People think that they counted 3 and like, oh, well, the guy giving the move obviously won, but no, actually the guy that received the maneuver, he's the one that kicked out, and the guy that was giving the maneuver was too lazy to get his other shoulders up.
Oh, okay.
There's a big elaborate thing. It's a very smart finish, and it's done a couple other times in wrestling history.
Yeah.
It's definitely done here because both of these men are smart, and obviously this is the
Though it shouldn't have been done here.
Yeah.
The crowd is not smart enough.
And Randy isn't smart enough because he's saying they were to reverse the decision.
Yeah.
No, the referee hasn't made a decision yet.
Yeah.
Stan Lane just thinks he wanted to get a maneuver, but
okay.
really he was the one that had his shoulders
But
down.
they announced it as totally winning. Right?
Yes, because he got his arm up.
Because the
up.
ref raised his hand.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let Randy keep going. They were to reverse the decision. They reversed it. There was no reversal. The ref had made his decision already.
And that's why Stan walks
Actually,
off.
I'm going to
kind
go
of
back and I'm going to edit Wikipedia on this one.
You should, because they're incorrect.
Are you an approved user?
I'm going to be for this particular reason.
This is a finish that's done before. It's a tricky finish. It's very much similar to something like a tuck rule in
Okay.
football or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
They'd review it and they go over it.
Right.
To create controversy. Usually, a finish like this is used to set up a match in the future. Which, if they're planning on having 4 events next year,
Yeah.
this would be the return match.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
okay.
that's how they would set up, which would start the angle.
So this leads me to a question. I keep getting us off track. I apologize.
No, you're fine. All right.
This leads me to a question of how much. So this is. You're saying this finish is it's like a whole. The finish is like a thing. The whole thing kind of start to end of it
Yes.
is a thing that's like we're gonna do this finish.
Yeah.
And then it's going to cause us to have a rematch because I'm like, you didn't beat me, and then it'll go from there. Start
Okay,
an angle,
yeah.
And then that builds a story.
And in the match, oh yeah, okay, so it builds a story. Yeah, I gotcha. And then but in the match, it's like okay, we're gonna do this whatever tuck fin. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever finish it's called. We're gonna do this ABC finish. It starts with a specific move, and it's somewhat choreographed, right? I guess.
Are you asking if
Wrestling is choreographed.
Look,
5 matches in, Jordan's like 5 matches in. I feel like something's going on here. I don't feel like
I actually, so this goes back to your question at the beginning of my wrestling, my understanding of wrestling and stuff. Is I don't really know. And the best description I've ever heard of it is it's like physical improv.
that'd be the best way to put it. Yeah.
And then, but
There are certain things you do. You're so like, I will do this to you.
Right.
You do, and sometimes they
there's
come
an
in.
expected response sometimes.
Yeah.
There's an and yesing. if you
we're
will.
and-guessing the shit out of everything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you
And so
asking if this shit's fake?
No, I'm.
Bruh,
no,
bruh.
I don't want to get. I don't want to get and yes right now. So. But Melissa asked me to explain it. She's like, "Well, I don't." She's like, "Is this fake or is it not?" And I was like, "It's definitely not fake. They are taking hits for sure." I was like, "There is a little bit more, I think,
We're
to
predetermined.
it." Predetermined.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
predetermined. It's the probably the nicest thing you could say of how you could say it. I'm not going to stand and be like, it's all real, and then you go home on YouTube and see Harley
see this.
and you see Harley Race explain to you how wrestling was.
Gotcha. But then, ironically, halfway through watching the whole special, my girlfriend, who's never watched wrestling at all,
So we should have interviewed her.
you should have. She gave the best description. I was like, "So is it choreographed?" And she's like, "It's not choreographed. It's a dance." And I was like, "That's pretty good. I feel like that's a good." But the physical improv.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because there are moments where it's
Yeah.
like you don't know what's going to happen. There's times where it is that way.
Right,
and
right,
that's
right.
where the magic happens.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then there's times of very specific that you be here at this time. And then there's things I say one word to you and you go do it.
Okay.
Much like in improv, when you make eye contact, you just know to get on stage.
Gotcha.
Sometimes if I just give you a look, you know to do this. Or sometimes I say
There's a
one
couple
word.
key high notes that you're supposed to hit.
There's a blueprint. We have A, B, and C, and then in the
Right.
middle we're gonna.
Yeah,
Gonna get a little weird.
because I noticed it during the George Animal Steel match of excuse me. I assumed that there was a point where it's like, well, there's gonna be the match, and then something else happens because they come back on stage and beat each other up, right? Or he ends up wrestling with somebody, but he comes back on and he distracts himself by chewing on the turnbuckle, and so then somebody that was kind of a sign to come back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes they do that and they don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Much like improv.
Gotcha. I should start a podcast where people just explain things to me because I'm really dumb.
Well, that's
It's called Wait, What? With Jordan Scott Huggins.
I can't.
If I steal that,
Please do.
Please do. Because if you don't, I'll just do it, and then I'll have a fifth podcast to worry about. So
he really needs a Thursday thing.
Yeah. You kind of need to fill up my week.
God, dude, that's so good. Okay, anyway, we're here for you, Jake.
Wait, what?
Please.
We're here for you, Jake and Zane. I keep forgetting about you.
I keep forgetting about your existence.
I keep taking all your beers, so whatever, man. You do what you want to do.
No, dude, no.
All right.
Speaking of.
Match where there was a little bit of segment with Bunyan, Anvil, whatever. Nothing fancy about that.
The thumbs, the two dudes, the big dudes.
Yeah.
They keep coming on. The former Yokozuna. The former Yokozuna.
They keep talking about the 1,000-pound battle.
They kept coming on.
Yeah.
And they were at the first, very, very first, even before the Mississippi.
They called him Porkozuna.
Porkozuna. So I just kept thinking, I was like, this entire night is just varying, like, each person wrestling is just a varying size of thumb.
More or less.
King Kong Bundy was a huge thumb. Anyway.
For sure. He's been described as such several times.
Weird penis looking guy.
Yeah, weird penis looking guy. Match number 6, one-man gag versus Abdullah the Butcher.
I'm going to be honest. I have a blank fucking sheet of paper.
For this one?
I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Hardcore match.
Yeah, sure.
What are your thoughts, Jordan, on seeing, here's the thing. Like, wrestling old-timers be like, yeah, you gotta have a match like this to make them believe, you know? Like,
blood.
Since we just had this big conversation about what wrestling is,
yeah.
does this match go, yeah, wrestling's real?
I will say that this match got me it was a 2.5 hour show.
Yeah.
And so people tend to trail out about an hour and a half in. Yeah. I did the same thing.
Included. Right here.
This match got me back into it.
Okay.
I will say though that this dude was not using it it's such an asshole move of me because I'm like, he's got a chain. Why don't you whip him with it? And then I forget that the other person is a human being and can't take whiplashes with a chain. Yeah. So he wasn't punching him with the chain. He was like, it looked like he was resting his arm on him. But then he pulled back and he was like, I was like, oh my god, that dude is he's bleeding out of his head. Mm-hmm. So I really liked this match. Yeah. It really got me back into it. That being said, it was seemed like they were both there for a reason, and that reason was to get me as the viewer back.
A little something for everybody.
Because it is a longer show. We are now at match 6.
Right.
We've seen a lot of things. A lot of things have happened.
Yes.
We've got to bring it back in. We're about ready to take it home here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Which, so obviously this match served its purpose, got you back into it, so you could watch casino surveillance footage of Bob Orton cheating at poker, as if this match needed any more hype as it is. But apparently he was cheating at poker, obviously, and Bob Orton, who...
That's where it goes, he's like, I'm a cheater. If you got, 21...
No, that's next.
Yeah, okay.
This is the cowboy guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're actually playing.
And he's playing poker.
It's above.
Above the bird's eye view. He's playing with a guy he's wrestling later on that night, and his manager,
this match occurred because of that.
Oh, this match occurred because of that.
The card game calls this match to need to happen.
Yeah, even though they talk about how they've had
convenient.
Even though they talk about this long feud for years, they're still playing poker together with each other in a room that nobody else was playing poker in. But they were saying that this was on the casino floor. But anyways, whatever happens, they cut to Captain Lou Albano doing an interview with Jimmy Snuka, while Jimmy Snuka does his best impersonation of a statue.
Where he hangs out and contemplates a murder.
Alleged.
Back to where are they now? Jimmy Snuka is in a courthouse.
What? Really?
Yeah, I mean, you can look it up. It's on there.
It's in a courthouse?
Allegedly, back in the day, he murdered one of his girlfriends.
Oh my god.
Side piece.
I was wondering
recently they just arrested him for it.
It seems like there's a statute of limitations.
Well,
even on murder, right?
The issue was his statement is different than the details that he put in his autobiography.
So this is kind of a big deal in the wrestling community.
Yeah, because if he would have released it in the autobiography, he would, but he changed it.
He was just trying to make another dime.
Yeah, but see,
incriminates
now he's
himself.
saying that he does not. He's a failing mental capacity, and that's why his story changed. So, if he's ruled incompetent, that case could get thrown out.
Okay,
and then also too, he didn't write it himself. He had a ghostwriter or somebody else write it. They didn't take my words properly. He's also failing mental capacity, which as a wrestler and everything that's going on should be pretty easy to do. So,
CFE, whatever.
Yeah, so it could come out that way. But anyways, regardless of all that.
Sorry I wrote that down, guys.
Sorry, we brought this very serious.
Sorry to
I'm trying to
murder.
remember. Snuka. Okay, so this photo of him on Wikipedia from 1981, he's very in shape. But in the
Extremely in shape.
Yeah, he used to be a fucking monster.
But in this, isn't he like severely overweight?
I'd say severely overweight. He's definitely
For his
deteriorating.
body type, yes.
I'm trying to remember who, or was it one of the two? Was it the Abdullah or the other dude? Abdullah was really overweight.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
Like
Abdullah's always been big,
Yeah.
and he's just gotten bigger.
Yeah, where like his pants were like up here,
They
his
were what
titties
that
were
was-
hanging
it
over.
was-
Yeah,
yeah,
that's...
Yeah, he had this huge fat ass though. Like if he was a woman, am I
Yeah.
right, guys? I would want to be on that. Okay.
But anyways, Bob Orton Jr., his promo, they had the ECW camera guy zooming in and out for his promo. But then finally gets in the match, Bob Orton Jr. versus Jimmy Snuka. Dutch does make an interesting observation during this match. I was talking about how, as these guys get older, these moves hurt more, so you have to work a little bit smarter. I feel like it was very intelligent of Dutch because obviously Bob Orton looks a little bit older. But I'll tell you what.
They didn't do a lot?
They didn't do a lot, but when Bob made that comeback, god dang, that's a good comeback.
That was just a real good match. I like the match.
When I saw on Wikipedia this match was 11 minutes, and I didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of time to watch this before we got together, I'm like, 11 minutes, maybe I should... And I started watching, I'm like, no, this is a good match.
This is a good match.
Like,
I didn't realize he's 65 now. He was pretty compared to these other guys. He was a fucking
38?
sprightly
No, is that-
fellow.
Yeah.
That'd be
And you got to keep in mind,
48?
yeah, Bob Orton Jr., during his WWF run, which is probably his most popular run, he had a back injury. Like, a debilitating back injury that made him diminish his in-ring style. Like, this is like back in like 85.
Oh, okay.
Like, he had a back injury that was severely bad, but like, he's always been legendary, known as this guy who is impeccable timing, unbeliever, in-ring worker. But like in 85, he had a back injury that kind of toned down his entire work. But like, he's such a badass. He still even wrestles today, and he's still like, as of like, I know 4 years ago, he was still doing the superplex.
Which is actually off of the top rope.
As a finish. He did it like 4 years ago. I saw he did it in a show in Knoxville, I think like 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
And, like, he's just such a badass. He's had nerve damage before.
Yeah.
Like, he was talking about one time he was doing curls and he couldn't raise them with his arms, and they had to like do some shit to his back. Also has hepatitis C, but like, his blood doesn't show any of the antibodies that has hepatitis C. So he goes, I think I cured it. But like, no doctor.
My blood is good blood.
That's basically what he said. Is like, he goes, I don't, like, the doctors can't explain it either. So like, we don't know what to do. I'm like, well, if you want to take some of my blood and do tests on me, figure this
He's
out.
going to use me to make an antidote to Hep C.
That's kind of what he said. And they're like, no, we won't do it. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm the thing that like has cured it. He's also such a badass. He's banned in a couple of cities in Japan for fighting with the Yakuza. Like,
like street fights or
Like bar room.
Like punch the wrong guy.
Not like he's in a fight club.
I wish I had paid more attention to this fight because
Now you're going to have to go back and read books about him.
Yeah, right.
No, Bob Orton, super badass, and like,
Wikipedia page, his photo is coincidentally him and Jimmy Snuka from 2009.
yeah, I mean they're
Snuka.
Snuka.
Okay.
Which, Snuka like came up when he needed to, just hit his spots when he had to. Started off real strong. But I would say the finish was a little weird. I can't tell if it was weird or super cool. Because
I think super cool.
I think super cool as well, because it was a situation he was setting up for the superplex, tried for the superplex, Lou Albano held Jimmy's foot. Bob takes the bump. I think Lou may have moved, but I think he moved on purpose, so that way he went down.
And broken arm.
Yeah, because he had the broken arm.
You don't know this.
You don't know. Bob Orton, he got a broken arm at one point in time, and then like as a wrestling character, he just had the cast on the whole time, and he would use it as a weapon. But he would say, but he would say like, they say, hey, the bones aren't healing on the well. He wore a cast for 2 years and said, the bones not healing all that well. I got to keep the cast on. Yeah. And even to this day, if you ask him about it, he will not admit that it was even a work, even though it was though a storyline, it was a work. Yeah. He and himself won't break kayfabe or won't like destroy pull the other side of the curtain on it.
Wow.
So hitting that buckle makes a shit ton of sense because he's got this forever injury.
And then takes the finish from Jimmy Snuka.
Him catching Snuka so crisply.
Yeah.
Gah.
Yeah.
What I also was like, how is the two oldest guys on the show having the longest match?
Yeah.
When like the next one was like 7 or 8. I agree.
But probably because of this moment in time, we realized the condition of Jake the Snake Roberts. And somebody says
this is
they say, Bob, can you guys just put a little bit of time in? And Bob's like, all right. Yeah, he probably just does a couple squats and goes out and has this match. Because Jake the Snake Roberts comes out and cuts the legendary promo, pulls his hair down, gambling. I believe it is right here on the list. You don't want to play cards with me because I'll cheat.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I cheat. You want to play 21? I've got 22. You want to play blackjack? I got 2 of those too. You want to play aces and eights? Baby, I got too many of those.
I wrote down what? And then my next comment is what? And then Jake cannot play cards.
He's like, because I don't accept losing, but obviously you will accept a drink at this time. Slurring of his words.
And then he just
really bad.
He brings attention to the snake and then gets mad at the cameraman for keeping the camera on the snake.
Oh God, I was so like that's the thing. The production on.
He like kicks his leg in front of.
The production was so bad. The camera people were so bad that it completely inebriated. Jake the Snake Roberts is like, hey, fuckhead. Do your job properly. I was so happy.
I was so confused by the time this match came around because they had done so much promo between Yokozuna and what's his name, the big thumb guy.
King Bumblebee.
I thought they were going to be the headlining match.
We're getting ready.
They're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be.
And but I'm a huge fan of Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
I know the name, never seen him before. But anybody that brings
this is your opportunity.
Anybody that brings a live animal onto the stage in a laundry bag, I'm a huge fan of. This guy, it was so great, man.
It could be a puma, it could be a boat.
If it fits in a laundry bag, I'm a fan, yeah.
All right.
You should start carrying when you're doing stand-up. If you could get a little something that just kind of rolls around, like not even like a real animal, just a mechanism that would kind of do
with those cat balls that you turn on with the ferret tail on it.
You can get those in like a Cracker Barrel,
like 3 or 4 of them in a bag. I'm like, what is that?
And you just do your whole set.
Yeah, and I keep pointing to it. I'm like, back up here, audience. Look at me.
Ignore that live animal.
We'll get there.
What a niche reference that would be.
I would laugh. You're definitely doing it to the back of the room for sure. So Jordan, after seeing a completely inebriated Jake the Snake Roberts, first time seeing.
He was drunk for sure.
Yes.
I was wondering what was going on with him because
drunk for sure.
Drunk for days up to this point.
Would you guess this individual would be alive today?
For sure. Yeah, because isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
Isn't that
the fuck ups don't die?
Yeah. Unless it's like a heroin or cocaine or something serious problem. Although alcoholism is very serious.
Although he did dabble in a couple of those, if not all of those.
I'm sure most of these guys dabbled in some pretty hard drugs.
he is actually alive and well, and actually is
Sober.
Turned his life around.
No way.
Turned
Yeah.
his
No
life
way.
around.
Have you not heard of the DDP yoga?
He's actually Tully's associate pastor.
Assistant pastor over here.
Assistant-
Jake the Snake.
He's the youth pastor.
Don't let the snake fool you. Damien's been saved.
God, man.
Yeah, turned it all
He was
around.
a character. I loved him. I would have liked to see him not drunk, not totally inebriated.
Oh, when he is sober and on point, his promos and unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really?
Like-
somebody just saw him. Was it you guys or was it Nick or Mike?
It had to be Nick.
Somebody-
yeah,
WrestleCon.
with us.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he would have been at WrestleCon and stuff like that.
Oh,
Like, completely
okay.
sober, turned his life around, like, better shape than he's ever been
Yeah.
in a very long time.
All because of yoga.
Clear-headed.
It does it for a lot of people, man.
Yeah. And it did it for him.
Did it for him. And the thing is, it's really funny. He's wrestling Jim Neidhart, who seems very sober and level-headed.
Who's
this
also
time.
a big fuck up, but I think he's a fuck up
is
more so now.
But now he's turned into what Jake the Snake Roberts was then. So, like, the fact... Like, they must have touched each other and put each other on opposite paths.
They Freaky Friday.
I was going for that too. Oh man. God.
But at the same time, too, Jim Neidhart also has a very long history as well.
Uh-huh.
I actually have some research about Jim the Anvil Neidhart that most people don't know about. He was a shot putter in California, like a pretty good shot putter.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle, of course, was a world record holder in the shot put, and he competed
We know.
and he
We've heard the fucking podcast.
yeah he competed with Jim Neidhart, and Jim Neidhart was notorious on like road trips for being crazy. Like he had like a really good like leg press, so what like very strong like
Yeah.
aptitude for leg press. So what he would do at hotels is he would lie down in front of somebody's hotel room door, lay flat like you would for a leg press, and then pop their doors off the hinges, walk to the next door, do the same exact thing, walk to the next door, do the same exact
He
thing.
just kept doing it.
And my uncle
Yeah,
walked down
that's
in the
great.
lobby the next day after one of those tirades, and it was Jim, the coach, and the hotel manager. And my uncle just was walking by, and he heard Jim say, "What? The last hotel didn't make me pay for all of the doors."
That's a thing that I do.
And then there's another story of him tying the bed sheets together and rappelling down from his balcony above down to his coach's room, using the bed sheet, rappelling down,
Yeah.
and then shooting off a fire extinguisher over that guy's entire room, and then going to the docks in San Diego and untying boats and pushing them out into the harbor. All in one night. So
This
this
is the most inconvenient, but like also really dickish. Nobody would ever have thought of
Yeah.
moves.
and this is before he got into wrestling.
wow.
So like
we're like back then they're known for doing dickweed things like this.
yeah, you could just get away with it. But they're not going to make you pay for all of the doors, apparently.
Oh man.
Apparently not.
He was, but he was an afterthought in this. I feel like. 'Cause
Yeah,
Well, in-
He
yeah,
wrestled.
I mean,
Did he wrestle? I don't even remember him getting on.
a little bit.
A little
kinda. Like, well, see, the thing is, it was supposed to be 2 separate matches.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but then there's the moment where Jake the Snake decides to play "Look at my dick, it's a snake."
Yeah, and let's
Dude, that fucking-
let's
we
talk about how
we got some places to get there.
he dropped off the snake and then walked to the back.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know what he was planning on doing. I don't know what his end game was. Just dropped the snake, left. I imagine
That was just Damien's entrance. Damien gets one, he gets one.
Yeah, well, what I assumed happened was they realized the condition that Jake the Snake was in, and they're like, maybe we should make this a tag or do something. And like they told him that plan. He went down to the ring, the lights hit him a certain way, and he's like,
like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a
oh
good idea."
shit. I forgot what the plan was.
Yeah.
Let me go to the back. Like, what are we doing again? Oh, it's gonna turn into a tag.
So I think
Okay.
at first he was like, "No, I could do this," and then he's like, "Oh, fuck me, no, I can't."
Yeah, like, and I love how he comes back with his shirt off, or maybe he just like, hey, I don't trust anybody to wash my shirt. I've only got one shirt left, so I'm gonna take the shirt off in the back and then come back out without my shirt on. and then he like goes to a woman in the crowd
and sexually assaults her. Yeah,
like
That's
takes
the
her
thing that
hands
occurred.
and pushes his boobs. Like
and she did not want that.
And even like, he does this today, even sober. Like he'll do something wrestling wise that's kind of sexual too. Like he'll pin a guy in a sexual way. I don't know quite why he does that a lot, but he definitely does that. Like most notably in this pay-per-view, he takes the snake and uses it as his dick. And then licks it at one point in time.
Yeah, they do make out a bit.
And then also he flips the bird, which begs the question, I wonder if this pay-per-view, because people are like, oh, these guys wrestled in the 80s and they know how to watch themselves. We'll just put a rating on this pay-per-view as, like PG. And then here comes Jake the Snake Roberts flipping the bird, using the snake as his dick, and like rubbing his tits on a woman.
Oh, God, because he definitely got to talk right before and be like, okay, now, Jake, we need to remind you, man. Watch yourself.
Yeah. Like, and also, too, like, I've been on multiple shows with Jake the Snake Roberts, and a lot of times the local promoter will find somebody locally to bring in the snake. So Jake doesn't have to bring a snake with him.
Oh, yeah.
The person that always brings the snake to the show is super fucking weird. Every single fucking time.
Wouldn't you expect a snake watcher to be
Yeah.
An
like
owner of multiple snakes.
And not only an owner of multiple snakes, but an owner of a snake that is like socialized, who can handle a wrestling crowd.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a weird, oddly specific job to me.
Oh, like it always freaks me out when like, oh, this is the guy that brought the snake for Jake, and that guy is always super fucking weird. Every single fucking
So
time.
in his prime, did he have a specific snake that he used or no?
I think it was the same?
He handled
Damien
it.
was.
He was supposed to handle it and stuff like that, much like the British Bulldogs were supposed to take care of the Bulldogs that they brought to the ring.
Yeah.
And Coco Beware had to take care of his parrot, Frankie. Like those guys were just like, oh, you bring a Bulldog to the ring.
Yeah.
And then, very similar to Jake the Snake, he's like, I gotta take the snake with me everywhere.
It seems like an incredible oversight that nobody ever brought George the Animal Steel onto stage with them in a leash. Like,
as their ring animal?
Their animal, yeah. Because it seems like the 80s, early 90s were a big time for people with animals. Bulldog, and then Jake the Snake. So, like, why not throw a leash on
The animal.
the animal, right? Yeah.
Well, the animal actually used to bring a monkey. Like,
No.
but like,
No way.
A stuffed monkey. A stuffed monkey.
Oh, which is also insane. It's an insane, especially if he thought that the monkey was alive. But
Sure did.
Come on. Duh.
Anyways, back to this match. King Kong Bundy comes down to the ring, attacks. No bell was rung.
No DQ. Just like,
No
hey
DQ
man, you stop
whatsoever.
that.
He's just hitting him. Like normally it would be like, hey, no contest, this singles match. No, they're just beating him up.
Yeah.
Then Yoko comes down, and you're just like, what's going on here? Then all of a sudden the ring announcer goes, hey, this is now a tag. Like, we've named...
just changed the rules halfway through.
And it was just the ring announcer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you have Captain Lou Albano. You can even say, per request of Commissioner Captain Lou Albano, this is now a tag. No, it's just the ring announcer goes, hey, I guess this is a tag now. This is where the lettering on my notes get bigger and bigger.
I think, because this is 2.5 hours, you get 3 hours for pay-per-view, usually cut shy 2:45.
Yeah.
I think they were running low on time, and they were just like, fuck it, go. We've got to get these guys out there. We've promised them this.
See, and that's...
Just go
They
now.
were running short on time or running...
Yeah, they were running short on time.
Oh, yeah.
See,
so they were
and
running out of time. Yeah, okay.
And I think it also, because Jake was so fucked up, 2 birds, 1 stone, get the fuck out
See,
there.
and that's what I was wondering too, because the thing is, you've advertised this battle of 1,000-pound match. So, like, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to make it a tag other than the explanation that you just gave me.
Yeah.
The explanation you gave me makes sense, because to me, the only reason you make it a tag is if Jake was the last match. You don't want it to end that way.
Yeah.
But...
And they were running a long time. And if you
long
notice,
time, you just throw them in a tag real fast.
they never fucking touch.
That's the thing. You've advertised this 1,000-pound match, and the guys that are in the 1,000-pound match. Your main event, the thing that you started the show building to, Bundy's cut so many promos about, and they don't even touch each other.
They don't.
Your advertised main event not only doesn't happen, And normally, not only that, like whatever addition you make does not make it better. You know what I'm saying? Like
It definitely, yeah. It's like somebody. Well, it's like I got drunk and tried to write a script and tailed off at the end. That's what it seems like.
And
Well,
instead,
don't worry.
just improv it.
Yeah.
Instead of
make
you
up
getting
and
drunk and
get
writing a
there.
script,
Yeah,
Jake
yeah.
the Snake Roberts got drunk and he wrote the script of this match.
Because Jake the Snake, other than like being listed, and was he even listed in the pre-show, like at the beginning,
Yes.
in the cards?
Yeah, because he was supposed to take it on the Anvil, which he was, and then they turned it into.
Oh, okay.
It became a
But
tag.
it was all about Bundy and
Yeah, it was
Yokozuna.
all about it.
And then nothing happened, and it was all about Jake the Snake at the end. And I was like, I'm cool with this. This dude's drunk as shit, and he's got a snake. So whatever.
Whatever. That
But
sounds
it
like
was
Good Friday
far
night.
less interesting than Jake the Snake. But
Yeah.
But the person that got more screen time than Yokozuna, Mini Bundy.
Who?
oh yeah,
Just fucking
who
appeared.
finished the match, man?
Because it was his fucking show. That's Bill Stone.
That's Bill Stone?
That was
That's
Bill Stone?
Yes. That is the man that's done all this.
Oh, all the pieces have come
Yeah,
together
yeah.
now.
Oh, and the plot thickens or
that's-
thins.
That was him.
Oh,
Is he normally bald or did he shave his head?
No, that's that. I don't know.
I don't know. He must.
That's the first time you've ever met or seen Bill Stone. Bill Stone is the guy that put the entire show on.
Right,
through
right,
Mag-
right.
He's the owner of Magic Casino.
I tried to Google Bill Stone at the beginning of this,
Yeah.
and all that came up was Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view.
Because
Wikipedia page.
he ran the Magic, or the promote. He was the promoter for this show through the Magic.
This is
And this is him. This was his big moment, was to be in the main event.
and I'm pretty sure Paul Adams, the guy who was the manager in the first match,
Had
was,
something-
It was like his buddy
his
or
partner,
something
yeah.
like that. And then like also too like the big fat security guys that were in the
Yeah,
ring
yeah.
that never got involved when they needed security, had him and his friends too, or they set up the ring or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
we know these people.
You know these guys. That's us. That's different time us.
Different time us. Yeah, and I love how like Anvil picks up 2 chairs and swings 2
Yeah,
chairs.
dude, there was a shit ton of really unsafe chair shots.
Yeah. And I like how like Randy says, you know, Commissioner Lou Albano wanted to make a statement against, you know, violence and kids. You shouldn't hit each other with chairs. But like Captain Lou Albano didn't make a fucking statement about this being a tag.
Yeah. Now this is what. Now he wants to play.
Now he wants to make a statement. Like, and the thing is too is like there's a point where like Dutch Mantel goes, I don't think Jake the Snake Roberts knows where he is. And I want to be like, I don't think Jake the Snake Roberts knows that this is a tag now.
Yeah.
Like, he's just
More
He
importantly.
doesn't know what's going on.
he's just hitting people in the dick. That's
Yeah.
all he's doing. He's
Yep.
hitting people in the dick. Tags out to Yoko. Yoko makes the big comeback.
Who
And-
just stands on the apron the entire fucking time anything is occurring.
Yeah.
Like, they're beating the shit out of Jake on the floor, and Yoko is holding down those ropes.
dude.
Just, brother, you got all me in the promos. I've done my stuff. I'm already over.
I
Which
didn't realize
leads me
it.
to believe, what was their original match?
You know
gonna be?
why?
Yeah.
I Wikipedia'd him, and my idea is that the reason he's on the ropes is because he dies a year later.
Oh, I didn't know it was that close to him dying.
He died-
Yeah, I knew he died.
He
I
died
didn't
in
know how close it
2000 at
was.
the age of 34. And so this is in
Well, he was
99?
like
What-
legit
wait,
550, 600 pounds.
when was this filmed?
September 1999.
September. So he dies a year and a month later.
Wow.
Like I knew it was close to that. I didn't know how close it was, and that was something that popped in my head as well because I did know he had health issues because of his weight.
Yeah.
and that was definitely I knew that would be an issue. But there was so much like big guy stuff they could have done. But like the fact that they didn't even touch,
Yeah.
the fact that they
Yeah,
didn't
that
even
was a
have
huge- yeah.
they didn't have a spot. Like they could have just one spot in the end, and it could have turned into whatever. And you didn't even have that. So the
Yeah.
thing you've advertised this entire time doesn't even happen. And to make things worse about not giving people what they delivered, there's the moment after the match is over. They get Mr. Bill Stone in
Yeah,
the
Bill
ring.
Stone, Minnie Bundy.
Yokozuna is chanting DDT, DDT.
Yeah.
Because DDT is like you want to see when you pay your ticket
To see Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake. I want
Yeah,
to see him
yeah,
do
yeah.
the DDT.
Yeah.
We have him. Here's the owner of the company, the guy that's paying your check, Jake. So, you know, you can do that.
Yeah.
And what happens? Nope, just whips him off.
Jake's too fucked up to do it.
Yeah, Jake's too
Yeah,
fucked up to do
okay,
it,
okay.
and you get the Samoan drop.
Which is arguably Yokozuna's finish.
Yeah.
It is for this show.
It is for this show. And then just put the
It
snake
goes
on
away.
him, And then fade to black.
Yeah, like he's calling for the snake down the pants.
Yeah.
Which was like kind of a deal.
Yeah, Jake would always try to stick the snake down people's pants and have it go out the other end.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He would do that a lot. But like
I was. So you guys are very dissatisfied with the ending, and I am as well. But
but
I will say that I was somewhat satisfied because like the entire time I was like, don't put that snake on somebody. Don't put that snake on somebody's face. And then he closed with putting that snake on somebody's face.
And so your biggest fear has occurred.
Yeah, absolutely. I've dealt with snakes before, and I knew this was a non-venomous snake.
Yeah,
it's venomous.
it's a constrictor.
Not poisonous. There's a difference. But yeah, it's a constrictor. Also, the snake was so docile. It was like, I don't know how it was in that big atmosphere, but I was a little bit scared for a bald, whatever, Bill Stone. Yeah,
Bill Stone. Well, like halfway through when it starts to come out of the bag.
Yeah,
I was like, man, what if it gets loose and just kind of fucks off? Like, doesn't do anything of merit, but it
just
like,
wraps itself around a kid in the front
I don't
row.
know if you've seen the production quality of the rest of the show.
It's not even there.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the production quality of the rest of the show, but somebody's definitely going to forget about that snake if it gets loose.
Yeah, and you thought like Julio De Niro taking a backdrop to the crowd was bad on somebody. Imagine a snake wrapping itself around one of these women that are wooed by Stan Lane in the front row, you know? Like,
so mesmerized, she doesn't realize she's being eaten by a snake.
She's still mesmerized by Stan Lane. She's getting choked by the snake. Like... Oh, and it just fades to black, and I feel like the letters like Finge should just pop up. Like, that's fine. Like, there it is.
I feel there was at least 7 more minutes of something occurring.
Oh yeah, there's something, but they ran out of time. Like, we gotta go to black. We gotta go to black.
Yeah, they cut hard, and you could tell it because they were starting to rush it towards the end. It almost seemed like,
yeah.
And it looked like it was like just starting to pick up for that position, like that specific timing was like starting to occur.
Yeah,
like this is gonna be a big fucking deal right now. Here is the money you've kind of paid for. We'll make up for the fact that the big thing never happened.
Yeah. No wonder
and then it's just gone.
11,000 short.
Yeah, so like that's the thing. Like the main event that they advertised didn't happen, but like as we discussed, you take the Stan Lane Tully Blanchard match. It was a good match. Yeah. You know, you take the Julio De Niro great match. Bob Orton, Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
Do you think so? You mentioned that it was a $40 pay-per-view.
No, it was a $20 one. It popped up $19.95. So.
Do you think? Well, so what's the inflation rate though? It's about 40, right?
What is it worth a day?
Would you have paid for it?
I almost did.
I thought you were. I was kind of hoping you'd say I did.
I almost did buy this pay-per-view. Like I said, vivid memory of debating. I had my thumb on the buy button of my DirecTV. Like, I don't know. I feel like this isn't going to be worth it, and I didn't buy it. But looking back on it, I wish I would have bought this live. I wish I would have been one of the people that watched this live.
Yeah. Do you think that at that age you would have realized it was bad, or would you have just thought this was wrestling?
Yeah.
I would have known because at this moment in time, you got to keep in mind I'm seeing Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
Rey Mysterio.
Well, you're also 17. I'm 14 at this time, so...
I'm
11 at this time.
Get the fuck out of here.
At this moment in time, I'm about ready to turn in no, I only like guys that do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm almost becoming that. I'm like 2 years away from that.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Being that obnoxious kid, like, they didn't do enough stuff off the top rope. You know, like...
That's a thing for wrestlers too.
Yeah. But that's it.
The same way comedians are like, he does too much. Jordan does too much crowd work. He's not. He doesn't write enough. You're like,
I don't care about Chernobyl.
Yeah, but it also comes back to what you were talking about with the big U. It's a situation of like, I don't think at 17-year-old I would have liked Jimmy Snuka versus Bob Orton.
Yeah.
But
now you're just like, holy fuck, that was good.
But now I look at it and I appreciate it and I know what to look for. It's like I've come back around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As you get older in it, you know the things to appreciate about it, and seeing two guys.
Okay.
Like I can look at that match and be like, this was a good match, and I appreciate what they did. And this was unique. You know what I'm saying? Whereas a kid, I would have been like, not enough head scissors. You know what I'm saying? Like,
man, stretch them, man.
Yeah, he didn't do a Texas Cloverleaf, you know, or a power bomb, you know, like. Or like now I can appreciate the artistry of what they were trying to do.
And I cannot.
Because it's not art.
So So.
I forgot one note. I would like to make it one
Likewise.
more
Yeah, please. This is all leftovers.
All
please.
leftovers. The video copy. First of all, Melissa and I talked about for quite a bit the type of person that would save a VHS from 1999. And because the copy you sent me, the link you sent me was not uploaded to YouTube until 2015. So somebody for 16 years held on to a copy of this Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view, and then only in 2015 did they decide other people might want to watch this too.
I'm going to put this out in the world.
Yeah. And so we talked for a great deal about the type of person that would do that, and I was like, you know the type of person that would do that? A wrestling fan.
Oh, absolutely. I am actually going...
The biggest creeps ever.
Yeah.
I'm actually going through video libraries right now and doing that on our
Are you really? Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm doing that right now for a job, for a living. So that type of person is me, and I get paid to do it.
It's you, yeah.
It's me.
Oh, but the note I had was about the copy was so bad that I couldn't read the name. So for a while I thought it was two-tone, not too cold.
Okay.
You're like, he is pretty in shape, but I don't know if he's two-tone.
So his photo, his card that popped up every time, it almost looked like a Pokemon card.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever watched it, like the early 2000s.
Come on now.
Yeah, okay, I apologize.
A couple years old.
But
I was paying rent then.
every time...
So this side of the table.
Every time his card popped up, the color was so bad, I thought that he was just a white guy. And then I only realized that he was black on his walkout when he kissed the chubbiest white girl in the audience.
Good.
I'm such a fucking racist, but he did it. He ignored everybody in the crowd, and then there was this super cute, really curvy blonde chick with like a short bob, and then she had some curves to her, and then he walks right to her, kisses her right on the mouth, and then keeps walking to the ring. So
You know.
I know.
Getting in those stereotypes.
So yeah.
The one thing I forgot to bring up, and I really meant to, we got busy talking about how good of a match it was. And this can tie back to the Bushwhackers, or formerly the Bushwhackers, the Men Down Under.
Men Down
Which we didn't talk about enough.
The Kiwis.
During the Bob Orton and Jimmy Snuka match, Orton's getting that really good heat, and the crowd starts to chant, "Bob is a faggot." And I was like, and I listened to it, and it goes for like 2 minutes.
A long time.
Bob is a faggot. Like, not even like a really good rhythm.
Oh man.
But then, like, I'm like,
Did them claps
are
too?
they saying? No, there was no claps. I wish.
Oh, so there's just a couple beats.
Yeah, so it's
aside.
like real bad.
Bob is a faggot.
Bob is a faggot. But I was like, man, are they saying Bob is? And it's like 4 drunk dudes, but then like 3 kids, like kids, like 11-ish and younger, but it's Mississippi.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, are they saying Bob is a faggot? And right about then, Dutch Mantell goes, man, all these people, look, just because of a man's sexual orientation doesn't mean you gotta yell at him about it. Oh, God, Dutch! 2016 and 99, here we go.
Yeah,
but yeah, Bob is a faggot is one of the highlights of this show for me.
Yeah, well, it's
great.
funny. That's still going on today. I was in a show in West Virginia, and people were chanting at this guy who's just shaking his hips, and they're going, "You are a faggot." And I'm just like, what if the guy was black?
Yeah.
You are black. Like, what? What? And then
The
like
crowd mentality is incredible.
Yeah, and this is just in West Virginia. I'm like, and what's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but like I said, if they only knew that Luke and Butch
were sucking all the dicks.
Were homosexual men, and they were licking children, and they even kissed the dude in the crowd.
Yep.
That guy was like, "Yeah, the Bushwhackers came up and like rubbed my head and kissed me." Like, if he knew that he was a homosexual, there would be no more wrestling in Mississippi ever again.
I'm impressed they kept it like secret to now. Like, it's not a well-known
It's not.
thing now.
It's definitely not a well-known thing, but like a lot of smaller circles will talk about it. But like, more power to them, and like, and good for them to like they live their life. They're happy with it, And,
Right.
Sucking dick and owning gyms. Good for them.
Dunning-Kruger effect. That's what it's called.
Oh, the U-shaped graph.
You see it. So the first on the right, confidence on the left, experience on the bottom.
Well, if we've learned nothing else,
then the Dunning-Kruger
the
effect.
Dunning-Kruger
and
effect.
the Gene Dixon.
The Gene Dixon. That's good.
Oh, gentlemen.
Science has been.
I'm closing the book on this one, you guys.
I must point out right now, this
We're
covers
2 hours.
2 hours and 8 minutes.
Oh.
We have talked about this show about as long as the show went on.
Show the irony.
I feel like for a show that is legendary as bad as it is, this is very much a special episode.
Yeah.
No need to cut it down whatsoever.
No.
Nothing but gold throughout this entire 2 hours. I can't thank you enough. And as always, listeners, I let you know that any corrections, omissions, mistakes, make sure you tweet me at ManScoutManning, or you can email me at jake@sslshow.com or manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. Please check out the website, howdidthisgetbooked.com. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube page, which is ManScout Manning, or follow me on SoundCloud at ManScout Manning. This has been another edition of How Did This Get Booked?
Woo! Woo!